And I would now like to introduce the presiding officer for this training, the Program Quality Director, Tan Pham.
Thank you, Paul. Welcome, district officers, for the 2023-2024 Toastmasters year. Your year is going to be a fun and great year of growing. As you will see, many district leaders have taken the opportunity, many leadership opportunities that Toastmasters had. And I want to thank you on behalf of District 33 for volunteering your time to be a district leader next year. This is district officer training, and you are all district officers. It's required that we provide training so that you can be as successful as possible for your new role. As the program quality director, I will oversee the training this year. And next year, I will step into the district director office starting on July 1st. So you will be part of our overall district team next year. But it is my honor to introduce our current district director this year, distinguished Toastmaster Deborah A. Allman. She's going to provide a welcome message. Debbie.
Good morning, everyone. I'm looking out. The day is just starting, and I am so excited to see all your faces. I'm going to leave you with two takeaways before we start the training. First, get to know your district incentives. That is something that can help your club save money. We have a dues increase taking effect September 30th. But you have a deadline where your members can take advantage of the current $45 per 6 months. If you get those dues renewals done by August 1st, then you will save them. They can go one more period without that due increase. So the incentives will help you cut your costs, and then also helping them understand when they can pay their dues ahead of time. The other thing is, as you know, we are distinguished district, and it's just an amazing accomplishment. But I think the key to our success has been the planning and the monitoring of where we were on a monthly basis. So use that club success plan in your planning for your clubs, for your areas, for your division. The club success plan has changed. It is a half an hour to complete, and it is very functional. It shows you where you are. You can see that even the DTMs, their educationals that they're doing. So it is really improved this year. So use it to your advantage, and let's have 2 years of at least distinguished or better status for our district. Back to you, Tan Pham.
Thank you very much, Debbie, and congratulations. If you are a current district officer, thank you for serving this current year. You have done so much contributing to the district's success for this current year. We will do the same this time next year. The next item on the agenda is our pledge and inspiration. I'd like to welcome now distinguished Toastmaster Alan Mann as he leads us.
If you can, please rise. For those people who are outside the United States, please think of your own flag as we do the pledge. Hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. My inspirational thought that I'd like to share is a quote from a former US president. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. That quote comes from John Quincy Adams, the 6th President of the United States, and today, fellow Toastmasters to future district leaders and current district leaders, the top 3 will give you the tools to inspire others, dream more, learn more, and do more for the clubs that you are responsible for. Back to you, Mr. Program Quality Director.
Thank you, Alan. Great job with the pledge and inspiration. Our district mission statement will be read by Distinguished Toastmaster Chris Hempelman, and this is the district mission. It's a little bit different than what the club missions that you're probably accustomed to listening to. So please welcome Distinguished Toastmaster and the incoming Administrative Manager, Chris Hempelman.
Thank you very much, Mr. Program Quality Director. The district mission: we build new clubs and support all clubs in achieving excellence. Thank you very much, Mr. Program Quality Director.
Thank you very much, Chris. And as a district mission here, as district leaders, we take on an organizational structure, and we are all working towards supporting the clubs that are in our district and building the Toastmaster clubs within our district as well. So that is what the district mission is all about. And we're here to carry it out as leaders. Our first training presentation is going to be given by one of our very own Toastmasters and a current area director. Last year, he was one of 3 Toastmasters that earned the Distinguished Toastmaster Award. He was also the 2021-2022 District 33 Toastmaster of the Year. This year, he's led the Area A1 as Area A1 Director to President's Distinguished Status. It is my honor to welcome from Florida, Mr. Toastmaster, none other than our very own Distinguished Toastmaster, Jim Kearney, and the presentation is the Area and Division Director Expectations. Jim.
All right, thank you very much, Tim. Now I have to live up to all that. Let me get this slideshow started here. And can someone tell me what you see?
A red screen with the title.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. So I don't want to talk at you. I want to talk with you. We are a communication group. Who can tell me what communication means? Anybody? Unmute. Talk to me.
Speaking.
That's part of it. What's the other part?
Writing.
Listening.
Listening. All right. In order for communication to work, it has to be 2 ways. There has to be someone who is speaking, there has to be someone who is receiving and understanding what they're receiving. So ladies and gentlemen, we are Toastmasters, we are communication, and we want to be able to understand everything. So if I'm going through this and I'm going too fast and you have questions, please unmute and ask your question. I want this to be interactive together. I would like to remind everybody that you are not in this alone. We are all here. There are area directors that have been here before. There's division directors. There's the trio. There's all sorts of people here to help you get going and make sure that you're on the right track. This is my contact information here. If you need to get a hold of me, I prefer that you call me by phone. Please just don't call between the hours of 2 and 4 a.m. because that's normally when I sleep. So area director is one of the most important roles at the district level because it is the link to the club. It is the direct link from the district to the club. Nobody in the district knows anything about what's going on above the club level unless that area director is there and passing that information along. He or she has their hand on the pulse of the club. Area directors do not have any direct authority at the club level. Their role is to support the clubs and to give the club members the best possible experience. Now, for the area directors that are here, I highly recommend that you find out who your division director is and you get a hold of that phone number. And for the division directors, I highly recommend that you find out who your area directors are and you get a hold of those phone numbers. My recommendation is that you each hold your meetings at least once a month, but you should always talk to each other at least once per week. If for no other reason, just to build a rapport. Because the division and the area directors, you are all a team and there is no I in team, right? Everybody is part of it all together. So you need to be able to contact each other and keep in touch with each other, build a rapport, build the relationships, build the friendliness that's going on. Because the more you talk to each other, the more likely you are to succeed because you're always going to be helping each other. Now, there are certain expectations that are placed upon our area directors, right? There's the things such as the success plan, the club visit reports, you want to be able to build at least one new club per area. You want to help all the clubs in the area achieve excellence. You have to run area contests. And then of course, there are all sorts of tips and tricks. And then at the end, I'm going to give a question and answer period. So our objectives, we want to identify the expectations. We want to be able to recognize the outcomes for the area director. And we want to be able to develop some sort of strategies that hold productive and successful area and division director expectations and meetings. So let's jump right into this. I want to talk about the area success plan first. Preparation is key to running anything. If you're in business and you go out there and you do stuff, you can see that you need to prepare before you do something. This is no different. You're the area director and you need to prepare. If you do not plan to win, then you plan to fail. There are links to the area director or area success plan at Toastmasters International. I will provide a copy of my slides. The link is in there. You can just click on the link and you can download one. Somebody remind me at the end of this presentation through text or something to drop my slides inside the chat room so you guys can have copies of these slides. The area success plan lists the members of your team, right? So this is going to be all your presidents, the VPEs of the clubs that are within your area. It also talks about the core values, the operating principles of your area. What are the potential obstacles to stop you from reaching your goals? What are your meeting protocols for when you have your meetings with your team? And the team interaction and behavior norms. There's also a section in there about the DCP status. You'll be checking on the DCP status throughout the whole year. It's an ongoing thing. There's also a section in there for situation analysis and a strategy on how to handle the different situations, right? So there's resources, there's assignments, there's a timetable, there's goals. If you don't have the area director or division director calendars, please let me know. Send me an email or something, and I will send you a template calendar that I have available for you to use. To be a distinguished area, you want to have no net club losses. Preferably, you have a net club growth of 1. I want to remind everyone when you're looking at these parts, the unpaid club is the same as a lost club. And you need a minimum of 75% of your club visit reports done. They have to be submitted on time. You need 50% of your base to be distinguished or better. And preferably you get that +1 for the distinguished, which makes you a select distinguished area. And if you have the new club, you become a president's area. Now, club visits, these are important. So division directors and area directors, you need to make sure these happen. But Toastmasters International says that it has to happen twice a year, September or March timeframe, right? And you have to have the reports completed by, I think, November and April. It's important that the clubs know from you, the area director, the division director, that there's support. Most clubs are going at this full speed and they don't think about the area director, they don't think about the division director, and most area directors and division directors in several different districts hardly ever talk to the club. So my recommendation is that you talk to your club at least once a month. Again, I was saying that the area director should talk to the division directors at least once a week. As an area director or division director, you should be talking to your clubs at least once a month. If for no other reason, build a rapport. Show that that support is there. The clubs need to know that it exists. The club visit reports, they're only 7 pages long. It walks through the moments of truth. It walks through the club success plan. We're asking all our division directors to keep track of all the clubs that submit a club success plan. You can download blank copies of the club success plan from the TI website. Again, links will be provided and when you grab a copy of my slides. After the visit, you should transpose any of the data that you have when you wrote down the information, transpose them over to the electronic copy on the TI website and submit those reports. The area director club visit reports recommended by the district deadline is October 31st for round 1, just before November, and April 30th for round 2. There are different incentives awarded to area directors that turn in 100% of their area director reports for each round. Those will be spelled out by the district during the year. We're asking for all the area directors to provide a report after their first area council meeting. This is when you have all your VPEs and all your presidents meet with you. And we want to know what the club goal is. How they're going to be distinguished, select distinguished, presidents distinguished, where do they want to be, and what is their plan in order to get there. As area directors and division directors, we have to build new clubs. The suggestion is at least 1 new club per area with no net losses. You want to be able to provide a minimum of 1 club lead to the club growth director. Minimum. My suggestion is 1 club lead per month to the club growth director. The more information you can give to that club growth director, the greater the chances are that they will get a club started in your area. So feed that information out there. Let the club growth director have that information. He or she has a team that they can use in order to go out there and build these clubs for you. So give them as much ammo as they can. Assist the club growth director in finding sponsors and mentors for your new clubs. The new club resources links are out there. You should master things like Master Your Meeting, Club Leadership Handbook, DCP, Club Success Plan, all those things. They're all out there on the Toastmasters International website. You can download them, you can read them, you can hand them out, you can make everyone successful if you go ahead and just push these things out there and make the resources available. It's always about making resources available. Now, you want to help all your clubs achieve excellence. As an area director and a division director, you serve a vital role in Toastmasters. Of all the district leaders, The area director is the closest one to the club, and the members are a direct link between them and the division and the district. Maintain regular contact with your club, especially the club presidents and the VPEs. This goes back to that meeting at least once a month. Preferably you talk to them and build a rapport at least once a week. Ensure that all clubs are the highest quality so that every member in the club benefits from the Toastmasters educational program. Identify the opportunities for club enhancement to bring about positive changes. And of course, help your clubs become distinguished. Now, the area contests, these are not a main function of the area director. So just, they have to be done and it has to happen, but it's not really the main function for the area director. The main function is to build new clubs and to help all clubs reach excellence. So you can conduct your area contests. They're usually done in March. Find an area contest coordinator by the end of August. This gives that coordinator time to go out and do the research and do all the different things that they need to do in order to make a successful area contest. And I do want to give a couple of tips and tricks, right? So I highly recommend that you attend every area and division council meeting that's run by the district. I highly recommend that you attend all the DEC meetings and definitely attend TLI. Now, these different things will be coming out during the year. The trio will let you know when they're going to be happening, but the information that happens inside all these different meetings is paramount to the success of your job. My recommendation would be for you to take a calendar and create a calendar for your areas, schedule up for different tasks that need to be assigned. For instance, every month you should be having a team meeting. In June, you should have your area director training. In July, you should join a division leadership club. And you should also become familiar with all the club's dashboards. So if you haven't been to each club's DCP dashboard, I highly recommend that you go ahead and take care of that. There's also officers training that's required to be done by the end of July, so you should be driving your clubs for those. In August, your area success plan should have been submitted to TI. In January, there's officers training again, there's club visits again, there's Talk Up Toastmasters in February and March, there's the area contest in March, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All of these things should be up there on your calendar and it should be made public so that everyone knows everything about it. So I'm going to stop sharing now and I'm going to open up this session for questions and answers, and let's have a little bit of fun here. Who's got what question? Oh my God, I don't see any questions. Did I communicate everything perfectly?
Yeah, you did. I'm curious. This is Burke Franklin. I'm curious, is there a one-page outline that lists all of this stuff? Because I've kind of got lost in tracking my notes of meetings to attend, trainings to do, goals to achieve, reports to write, you know.
Yeah, when this session, did you get my email address and phone number?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna drop a copy of slides inside the chat room when we're finished with this. And if you're unable to download them for whatever reason, please send me a text or send me an email and I will make sure you get a copy of it.
Okay.
And
And a folder full of templates or something too?
Yes, yeah, the not the templates, but the links to where they are on the Toastmasters International website.
All right.
So you don't have to memorize anything, right? Everything will be sent to you if you want it.
Okay.
I see, is that Brittany? Yes, Brittany, you have a question?
Yeah, so you mentioned about attending TLI, the Toastmasters Leadership Institute event. I went to the TLI when we was at the, I think it's Ventura or Santa Barbara. So so I was thinking maybe we should have a I was thinking maybe we should do hybrid for the for TLI.
I'm sure hybrid is here to stay. Clearly, I'm not gonna show up in person. I'm in Florida. So if you want me there, you have to have hybrid. Hybrid's not gonna go away anymore.
That's right.
I also see Tony Green's hand up. Tony? I can't hear you, Tony. Oh, I don't hear you. So while Tony is working on her audio, are there any other questions? We have plenty of time.
Excuse me, Jim.
Yes,
When can we get the contact numbers of the presidents of our respective clubs? Because I want to be in contact with them as soon as possible to reach out to them.
yes. When you're the area director. So that would be on July 1. You will be able to log into the district central. And from there, you can download your club officers list.
Thank you, Jim.
Yeah, you're welcome. You won't have access to that until July 1 when you become director.
Jim, just
Yes, Tim.
just a technical input on that. The Club Central, which is on Toastmasters website, there's going to be a little bit of delay, probably 1 or 2 weeks, in order for area directors to get the access to the directory of membership. So we expect your access, maybe like middle July, they should grant you access with your TI logon. And in the meantime, we will download, as a district leader, download the listings and then provide that to you. Either myself or a current district leader that has the membership access on July 1st, we'll get the officers listings and then the general membership listings, and we'll make it available to you.
You got that, Najib? Right. I assume that's because of all the backlog at the end of the year, Tim?
Yes, in my experience, July 1 doesn't really happen overnight for online access.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, sir. Angelina, you have a question?
Not a question, but I would just like to, at least for Division A, the team last year, our team had the trifold flyer, and I shared it with my 4 incoming area directors. And with this, so that trifold flyer has all the names of the clubs in the division with their meeting times in person or in Zoom, and then their web links and websites, and then added the one that was chartered in May. So Division A had their copy of the contact information for all clubs.
Yes. So if other divisions want to do that, I recommend that you contact Leslie Boyle and see how she took care of that. Vivian, you have a question?
Yes, we have observed that we are getting more members from around the world, myself included. And for area directors, it would be a good idea to remind everybody that we don't want to pay for overseas calls. So find a way to get on WhatsApp or Messenger calls. But it really works with clubs who make themselves accessible via calls online, because many people now are outside America. Worth thinking about.
Yes, correct. And keeping in touch with each other is very important. So if you can make it cost-free, that would be certainly beneficial. I did want to mention, I don't know if other area directors have been doing this, but when I was the area director for A1, I created a newsletter and I sent the newsletter out to everybody in my area. So if you guys want to do that as well, again, it's about communication. It's about keeping people informed. It's about letting people know that they're not in this alone. So you can do that. If you need a copy of it, please send me an email or a text message and I'll make sure that you get a copy of the newsletter.
Hey, Jim, this is Denise.
Hi, Denise.
How are you? Great presentation today, by the way. Good morning.
Thank you. Morning. I miss you.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I was wondering how often you sent the newsletter out. Was it monthly?
I sent it out monthly. Yes.
Perfect. Okay, and I did get a sample of it. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Angelina's hand is still raised. Angelina, did you have another question?
Okay, I'll lower my hand. Thank you for that.
All right, so we still have a couple of minutes here. If there's any other questions.
Hey, Jim, I
Yes,
have a
Irene.
suggestion.
Certainly.
Excuse me. For the incoming division directors and area directors to get in touch with the outgoing directors and see if they can get a hold of the incoming club officer list. They may be able to reach out to club presidents and get that. For Division D, that's what I'm going to do, because I tried to get the list and obviously it's not available yet, but I can reach out to clubs and try to get that list for Division D.
Awesome. So all the clubs should have already voted for their officers and the list needs to be in by the end of this month. So if you are a current area director, you could certainly get that list from your clubs. If there are no other questions, then I'm going to finish this session early. Oh, I
actually, I have one.
see. Okay, Greg?
It's more of a suggestion. When I became an area director initially several years ago, there was never a training provided for how to run area and division council meetings. I just kind of had to learn that as I went. I think it would be really beneficial, especially for newer area directors, to have some sort of template. Like, these are the topics that you should in general go over with your clubs at the area council meetings.
Awesome. Nico, are you here? I saw Nico earlier.
Yeah, so what was the question?
No question. There was a suggestion that I guess we should create a training on how to run an area council meeting if it doesn't already exist.
Oh,
So maybe you and I can get together and we can create that and put it together and then add that to the list of training that you'll be presenting this year.
yes, that's very important. Basically just really contacting your club presidents and VPE for a meeting, a Zoom meeting every month.
Yes, but what do you talk about while you're in that meeting, right?
Yeah.
That's the stuff that Greg was talking about. So let's get together within the next week or so and see if we can't put this training together and present it to the area directors when they take over in July. Awesome. Clarice, you have your hand up.
Yes, as I'm sitting here and participating in the training, it brings memories of when I was an area director, and especially a new one. And all the terminology, the area success plan, DCP, all this stuff, I can imagine is a bit overwhelming to wonder what is that? So I want to highlight the area success plan, just a success plan in general, club success, area success plan, division success plan, And there's also a district success plan, but for everyone here, there's the area and division success plans. Jim, you mentioned where to get it. Okay, so where can, you're going to put that in the link or somewhere? I think
Yeah,
that's.
I have links in my slides, so
Okay.
I'll drop my slides in the chat room. You just click on the link, you're good to go.
Okay, well, I'll also, there's other things I'll bring it up in my presentation too. The other is if, this is a question for, I guess, Debbie and Tan. I think one suggestion, if it's available, is to have the last area director visit reports that were submitted, to make those perhaps available to the incoming area directors as a way to give them a snapshot of a couple things. One is a sneak preview of what this area director report looks like if they haven't seen one. And then second, to give them a pulse, even though it's on paper, what the situation and what the climate is of the clubs that they will be managing. It's so just a suggestion that may be helpful to help smooth in the transition. It's also helpful for those that are new division directors as well, to give them that opportunity. So a suggestion.
I
Thank
would
you.
take that action to do that, Clarice. I'll post it. I'll post all of the round 2 club visit reports to a repository for the incoming team to access.
Awesome. Thank you for the suggestion, Clarice. Vivian, you have your hand raised.
Yes, Jim, time and again, I've said this, for those who are new and trying to serve well, all these technical, jargonic, long, multiple syllable words just go way over our heads when we're new. So I would like to inspire the brilliant people who know what the words mean to use during these meetings friendlier terms, so that clueless people like me last year, when it was my first time, wouldn't be sitting here looking like a challenge for you. Speak to be understood. We didn't know what you were talking about. And we senior citizens have a challenge remembering what jargonic words mean. Try using simpler terms, just food for thought. And a special request. Love you. Mwah.
Love you too, Viv. Thanks. So Vivian brings up a good point. And probably when she was first there, she thought, oh my God, what's going to happen? I don't stop. Overwhelmed, lost, no idea what's going on, screaming, pulling her hair out. What's going on? All right. So one of the first things I need to emphasize, I've told you this before, you're not in this alone. So no matter what happens, no matter where you are in your Toastmaster career, no matter what you're doing for the district, relax. Just think of the word riot, R-I-O-T, relax. It's only Toastmasters. I promise you, the world is not going to explode if you make a mistake. If you need some help, reach out. Become like AT&T. Reach out and touch somebody. No problem. We have people who can help. If there are questions and things are missing and things you don't understand, reach out. If you can't figure it out in 10 minutes, it's time for you to call somebody. We are all here. We all have a vested interest in your success. So reach out and let people help you. And that would eliminate some of the problems that Vivian had. And I'm sure if you're here like Vivian, that was her first time being an area director. I'm pretty sure when I had my first area directorship, it was the same way. And if you are now your first area directorship, you're going to have the same problem. It's okay. Relax. We're here to help. You need some help, just call. You have my information. You have my email address. You have my phone number. Call. We'll make sure you get taken care of. You're not lost. There is help. Okay, last request for comments and stuff like that. Otherwise, I'm going to turn this back over to 10. Going once. Going twice. All right, 10, it's back to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Jim. Great presentation. Again, Jim provided his contact information. And as you know, we are all here to help you get started and feel comfortable and confident in your role. So do not feel like if you did not absorb something, you have a follow-up question, we're here all year for you via email, phone, or text or Zoom. We are a little bit ahead of schedule, so I'm gonna make a recommendation that we proceed with the next item and move the break a little bit. So the next item will be on the agenda is the team introductions, the district team introductions in a district calendar. And we'll do this until about 8:55, I believe we can get that done. So the team composition, I wanted to introduce our incoming district officer team. And if you have the agenda, it's on the second page of the agenda. So as our immediate past district director, I wanted to just, if you can turn your camera on for this session so we can all see everybody. Immediate past district director for next year will be Deborah A. Allman. Debbie, hi. Our elected program quality director, and he will be in charge of leading all training, all education, membership support, pathways. He is going to be the key director, IP level 5, MS5, Nico Martin. Our incoming elected club growth director, his position is to oversee the operations of the club buildings, new buildings, and also the club retention. So there's going to be an extension chair and a retention chair to help build new clubs and support existing clubs membership. Please welcome distinguished Toastmaster Darnell Evans. He is our club growth director. When we refer to the term district trio, I just wanted to let you know that's not an official term, but that normally represents the three officers: district director, program quality, and club growth director. So that'll be myself, Nico, and Darnell. Next is our public relations manager, and she is here. She will be supporting us with promoting the district, communicating what the district has to offer, events, working with external resources, and help communicate internally to the district's clubs and district members. Competent communicator is Roberta Nadler. She is our public relations manager, leading us to manage our district's finances for the incoming year. And this is the fiscal responsibility to help make sure we're all remaining in budget and helping with the reimbursement process. Anything with funding, obviously it will come to myself, but leading the management of the finances will be IP level 3, presentation mastery level 1, Pamela Edwards. So Pamela is right there as our timer as well. The next person is one of my fellow, he served with me as a division director 2 years ago. He helped me with pathways this past year in the program quality world. And now he is going to help us keep in shape by managing all the administration for our district. That means he will probably collect our reports, build them into a cohesive meeting minutes for the district level meetings, kind of like what a club secretary would do in your club. Please welcome distinguished Toastmaster Chris Hempelman. Hello, Chris. Our next district officer is another fellow division director of mine when I served 2 years ago, and he is here in Ventura County. He's retired now. He loves auto racing, so you can talk to him about auto racing all day long. He is going to be our district logistics manager, which is going to manage all the property of the district, similar to what a sergeant at arms would do for a club. Please welcome our Zoom Tech distinguished Toastmaster logistics manager, Paul Kistler. Our next district officer is going to, again, he's here to help keep the district meetings, the district executive meetings, and the district council meetings in order, and we will follow the Robert's Rules of Order during those district level meetings. Please welcome distinguished Toastmaster, the parliamentarian for the incoming year, Alan Mann. And that will be our core district officer team. The rest of the team I will introduce now will be on this sheet of district leaders, which you will have access to as well. Oh, this is not a very good view. So for the team. Okay. Do you see a Google shared drive with some red words, black words?
Yes.
Okay. Our Division A director will be led by Dr. Angelina Dickey, Distinguished Toastmaster. Her area directors appointed at this time is Carolyn Moore for Area A1. Again, you can all turn on your videos if you like. Denise Shipper, Area A2. Craig Hartley, Area A3. And Rachel Taylor, A4. Again, congratulations. These will be the clubs that will be allocated to your respective areas for the incoming year. Division B will be led by Ryan Voitila as the division director. And then his incoming team for next year will be Javier Marquedo, which is Area B1. Vivian Magdalinden is going to be back for the Area B2. Area B3, we welcome Najib Abdullah. And we have a vacancy in the B4 area director. For the Division C, I wanted to introduce our elected Division C director, Eric Browning. And under him, he has the C3 area director, Bonnie Gorin. Area C4 is Ava Watson. And finally, Area C5, Carol Alec. We do have 2 openings there, and we're going to continue to look for area directors to fulfill C1 and C2. For the Division D, we have returning as Division D director, Yumi Sprague. And her new team, and her team returning will be Division D1, Scott Kavanaugh. Area D2 is Ken Jarrett. And Patrick Chandler will be coming in as the division as the Area D3 director. In the Division E, we have not selected a division director or an Area E1 or E2 director yet, and we're working with the existing team to find the leaders to fulfill those roles, but we do want to welcome Area E3 Director Burt Franklin. In Division F, leading the Division F will be Distinguished Toastmaster Jacqueline Alford. She's building her team, but we do have the Area F4 Director appointment, and he will be Pete O'Brien. And then proceeding with the Division G will be led by Ryan Kreil as the Division Director. Our Area G1 Director is Distinguished Toastmaster Greg Morrow. And Area G3 Director, Distinguished Toastmaster Michael Rankin. In Division F, Division H, our new Division H is going to be reorganized and open as a new division starting next year. So you will not find any Toastmaster documentation on Division F because it is part of Division A right now. After July 1st, it'll be reorganized and split, and Division H will have the Division H Director, Jacqueline Jones. Area H1 Director, Susan Gray. Area H2 Director, Brittany Brim. And Area H3 Director, Tony Green. as the incoming team, everybody here is part of the district executive committee. Again, that's a term you're going to hear, and the acronym is the DEC. When we ask for the DEC to meet, that is the area and division directors. That's you. You're part of the DEC, and as well as the district team. Does anybody have any questions on the team introductions? I'm going to review the chat real quick to see if I forgot anything, because I do see it growing. Okay. And I will now just kind of highlight what we have for our calendar, and then we will proceed with the break. Okay. So to familiarize yourself with what Jim talked about, we have a calendar that the district has to keep track of the business side of the district. Again, you can build your own specific calendar when you come to your area director year, what milestones clubs have, but these are the milestones that the district has. So we officially start the year on July 1st. We will have you as area directors can start your area director visits. Your club visits can start on July 1st as well. And Jim just talked, and he will talk about club visits later, but you have the first three or 4 months of the year to conduct your visits and submit your visit reports. We have training, makeup training that's going to be occurring if you missed this one on July 6th, and then club officer training is a district level event. So that's on the 15th of July. That's something that you and we all want to communicate to our club leaders. And I wanted to save the date for everybody that on July 15th, we will hold our first 4 DEC meetings. And this DEC meeting is special because you will be installed as a district officer on July 15th. July 15th is a Saturday. It is going to be a more straightforward district executive committee meeting. We will install you as officers and then just have our first overall meeting as a DEC. That'll be after club officer training concludes, and it's online Zoom, so you can support that in any way possible. This calendar is accessible. It's a link that you see on the training agenda on page 2 as well. And what I wanted to point out was that we will have monthly meetings at the division and area director level. Division directors, we will have monthly meetings where you're invited to talk about your division status, to provide a short report on your division status, but as well, we will talk about what's coming up in the near future for the divisions to focus on and talk about challenges. We will always use that 1-hour session to provide training as well and strategies into supporting our clubs. So it'll vary, topics will vary month to month, but again, it'll be a drumbeat that we will have every 3rd Saturday of the month, and it's online Zoom. If we can, we will pair it up with an existing in-person or hybrid event whenever the opportunity arises. And the area directors, I don't want to forget about what the area directors are bringing to the table, because you are a district officer, to help provide support for you as a new director or incoming director or continuing area director. We will have peer monthly calls. So you will have an opportunity on a monthly basis to join a monthly Zoom meeting, online meeting, that we can talk about where you are at with your area director visits, area director support success plan, any challenges, any planning of events of either training or speech contests. Again, the subjects will vary month to month, but this will be a 1-hour session that we can have discussions at the area director level. And you can also meet your other area directors and we can talk about the challenges and share. So this will occur on the same Saturday as the division director meeting, just at a different time. So those are some things I wanted for you to just keep on being able to understand when you get a chance to review this schedule. Okay. So does anybody have any questions for what we talked about as far as division team, district team, and district calendar?
So Tan, I did provide a sample area and club calendar in the chat room. So the area directors can take those and fit them to their needs. And they can pass on the club one to their clubs.
Thank you, Jim. I know we use Google Docs as our primary repository here in the district. We hold a lot of documentation from the days of other Toastmasters year. If you could, please try out the link that I just put in the chat box. If you have problems accessing Google Docs, please let me know. I would like to know if any of our team members or even our district members, if you have issues accessing, for example, this calendar. If you do, we will find another method of providing you and communicating outside of Google Documents for you. So in the chat box, if you can just do a little trial test, if you've got any issues, please let myself or any of us know, and we'll keep track of who has access issues. We use Google Docs to share a lot of our shared documents that we will use throughout the year.
Tan, I just converted it to a Word document and then put it in the chat box.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Greg. That is going to be our workaround. We will provide Word versions, but to minimize the emailing of schedules, the calendar is always going to be accessible to you via the district website. We will have a district website that's updated, and it will have resources for you and for all members. I have a hand raised by Vivian. Vivian, do you have a question?
Yes, my dear Tan. Is there a number where people outside America can call you?
I'm going to work with you on that, Vivian. I have some security requirements from my job that may not allow for me to give my phone number out to international. So I don't want to talk about that at this venue, but I will find out what I can do for you, Vivian.
There is a workaround. Google Voice. I use that in my teaching job. I don't give any parents my phone number. They only have my Google phone voice number, and the Google Voice number is free, and it rings directly to your cell phone.
Got it. Sounds like a new phone number for me. We are at 9 o'clock. Again, I'm going to give everybody a chance to take a 5-minute break. We are a little bit ahead of schedule, but we will take a 5-minute break. If you have any further questions, please type it in the chat. I'll remain here. We will pause the recording if we can from our Zoom tech, and then we will replay. Our break is ending. I know it was an abbreviated break, but thank you again for coming back on time. We are a little bit ahead of schedule, so don't worry too much about being late. Our recording has resumed. And again, with Zoom protocol, if you're going to be doing something distracting, please make sure your video is off. Otherwise, you can leave your video on. I don't see any bandwidth issues here. And if you can remain on silent, we will make sure that via the participants list, we'll make sure all the silencing is going to stay intact for our presenters. The next subject is a very key one. As new district leaders, you're going to develop teams because you're not in it alone. You're going to have a team to support you throughout this year for various functions, and you can help recruit that team with the existing membership and your friends. Even other district leaders can support you. I had a great team when I was an area director. I love working with, for example, Mark Francom. He and I got along very well, even though we're different personalities. But he's a very cool guy to work with on the area director level. So you can build those fun relationships too. Leading us is going to be our immediate past district director. And in 2021, 2022, she earned the District Club Strength Award that was awarded by Toastmasters International. And this year she served as our 2022-2023 District Leadership Committee Chair. So she helped recruit and interview many of you here. I wanted to thank her for that, serving as an immediate past district director, and now she's going to talk about the subject, developing successful teams. Please welcome distinguished Toastmaster Clarice Kresser.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Program Quality Director and District Director-elect. And good morning, my fellow district leaders, and I congratulate each and every one of you for taking this step in your district leadership journey for district leadership in 23-24. For some of you, you're continuing on for a second year, and I congratulate you as well. The part of training, as my fur babies are also concurring, has to do with, I'd like to highlight that training is more than just talking about the ins and outs of the tools, all the jargon, all the policy and protocol. Toastmasters, and for all of you this morning, this is a learning experience. And I love this quote from Albert Einstein because he said this: learning is experience. Everything else is just information. As part of Toastmasters, it's not just about getting information, it's about how to use the information for what your goal is, and in particular for what your role in your district leadership is. Part of the district leadership component, as Tan had mentioned, is developing successful teams. So for the next 40 or so minutes, I hope to not bore you. I'm going to do exactly like what Jim has said. I'm trying to make this as engaging and as uplifting and as exciting, energetic, positive. Part of that is developing those teams. So we're going to talk about that, developing successful teams. As a point of reference, again, I remember as going through leadership, in the old days, which was not too long ago when we had training in person, we had all these resources and a lot of paper. So now it's all electronic. I want to highlight here on this slide is a list of several resources and references that will be beneficial for you as district leaders. Tan has already put, I think, all of these in terms of the references in your agenda. I want to highlight that because a lot of what I'm going to talk about is taken from this information, in particular, the District Leader Handbook. A tip is if you can never find the link, go to Uncle Google. He's a relative of mine. I think he's a relative of all yours. Do a Google search. I call him Uncle Google. And type in anything you'd like to search for. Type in Toastmasters International. That's very important to be able to put that in your search. And then whatever subject you are looking for. So say you want to do Area Success Plan. Type in Toastmasters International Area Success Plan. And then in your search, look for the search item that takes you to a TI website link with that item. So that's just a suggestion, and you could do it for all of this for these reference items if you ever can never find those links. So when we're talking about developing successful teams, we're going to cover 4 areas. Number 1 is, who are your team members? You need to know who you're working with especially within your respective roles as area and division directors. The other is, what's a team agreement and what's the value of that? Third, team motivation. What is that and how can it help you develop those successful and effective teams? And we need to talk about conflict resolution, because I will tell you that you will always, if you have 1 year where you never had any conflict, I'd like to know your secret recipe, because there will always be situations where you need to resolve conflict. So we'll talk about that and provide some tips. I did put in the chat box a link to this PowerPoint. It's actually accessible from one of my clubs, a Division A Leaders Club. It's a leadership club, and it's under the public download. So just know that you can access it. You don't need access to a shared drive. You can go to that link and download this presentation for your reference. I'm a quote person, as you'll probably know. And when we're talking about teams, I want one quote that I also love is from Phil Jackson. And this is what he said about teams, of all people who would have to know about having a successful team, an effective team. The strength of the team is each individual member. The strength of each member is the team. I say that, and I want to highlight that because when we're starting to talk about all the nuances, all the things about the teams, all the names, all the people, all the titles, sometimes what gets lost from what I've noticed is that we lose perspective that we're actually talking about people. We're talking about people on the team who are part of your team for different reasons, and we'll talk about the motivation. But part of the reason, and which I hope, is that your reason for being in this, putting your hat in the ring for district leadership, has to do with your experience and your journey as a Toastmaster, in addition to service. But that means you have your own individual needs, your own individual motivations, and your own individual strengths, and your own individual areas of improvement. It's you and also your team. So remember that when we're talking about teams, do not forget about the individual team member, because the strength of the overall team is also dependent on how you as a leader are strengthening the toolbox and resources of your each individual team member. Now, what I'm going to show, and you might want to close your eyes for this next slide, okay, because I'm giving you a little bit of warning. This is coming from the District Leadership Handbook. This is, I'll show you what page, but I think it's important to know when you're wanting to know who your team members are, is to have an overview and understanding of the structure of Toastmasters International. So here you'll see on a column, basically how Toastmasters International is structured. At the forefront and at the heart of our work and of Toastmasters International has to do with the members. The members are top and foremost in everything that we do, in whatever level we are at. You put together a group of members, they comprise of clubs. All the clubs are comprised of members. When you put several clubs, or I like to call them cluster of clubs, together, they comprise an area. And typically those are about 4 to 6 clubs in an area. Then when you take a cluster of areas, and they're always around geographically, a cluster of areas or a cluster of clubs comprise areas, but then a cluster of areas comprise the next level, which are divisions. Most divisions have about, I think the minimum is 4 areas that can comprise of a division. Then when you have a compilation of all the divisions, we currently have 7, but in July we will have 8 divisions. A cluster of divisions then comprise what the district. So District 33 is comprised of 8 divisions beginning in July. Then you have all these districts. I don't even test me on how many districts that there are. I think that will be a Jeopardy question. I know it's over 100. There are hundreds and hundreds of districts around the world in Toastmasters that comprise the next level, which are regions. Then there are several regions. I think there's like 7 or 8 regions. They come to, all those are comprised and make up the whole organization of what's called Toastmasters International. There are representatives of the board of directors from each of the region, and then you have the world headquarters staff. So there's a hierarchy. And so where you are and where we are in terms of a district, you know, we need to remember as an organization, there are mission statements, guides, things that guide us. And the ones that we're familiar with are is the club mission. But let's start off with the Toastmasters mission. Why does Toastmasters exist? They exist because the Toastmaster International mission is this: we empower individuals to become more effective communicators and leaders. And that is why Toastmasters International exists at all of the levels. So everything that we do, whether we're having our Toastmaster hat on or a district leader hat or a leadership hat on, we need to keep that TI mission in mind at the forefront with the members at the front. Then at the club level, how they fulfill the TI mission is by their club mission, by providing that supportive and positive learning experience where members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. That's how the clubs accomplish at the club level for the Toastmasters International mission. As district leaders, we do that and support the TI mission by the district mission. And so all of the levels of area, division, and the district have the same mission to accomplish, which is we build new clubs and support all clubs in achieving excellence. And that's how we as district leaders, whether at all the levels of area and division and the district level, how we accomplish the TI mission. So that's an overview in terms of understanding the hierarchy and what your role is in terms of broader scope. So now let's talk about who are these team members. Okay, it's like, this is from page 3 of your district leadership handbook. So use this as a reference, and I'm going to chunk this up into pieces for the next few minutes. So you'll see there are all these different levels, all these groups of people, and on this chart, it's shown by titles. It's shown by titles. So as a point of reference, I'd like to do a quick show of hands. If you can raise do a thumbs up on your screen. How many of you have served as a club officer or are currently serving as a club officer? Just raise your thumb, your thumb or your Zoom. So I think it's like most of you are currently serving or have served. Now that's important because a quick tip to kind of realize who your team members are is to remember who the club officer positions are. So those club officer positions, they're typically called club executive committee. Some clubs call it their executive board. In either way, I've always seen the term executive. And at the club level, those team members are the 7 club or 8 officers: the president, VPE, VP of membership, public relations, secretary, treasurer, and sergeant at arms. Those are the 7. And then the 8th officer is the immediate past. So if you remember, those are the team members at the club level for the executive committee. Those are the ones that lead the club to accomplish the club mission. When we get to then for area directors, your team is a compilation. And remember, we were talking about the hierarchy. Areas are comprised of clubs. Clubs have members. Clubs have their team of their executive committee. So when we're talking about area directors, your immediate team are it's typically the top 3 executive officers of the club, which are the presidents, VPEs, and VP of membership. And I recommend, and this is because of the experience in the last 3 years, the district has always involved public relations, and the district PRM has always coordinated some kind of gathering and in terms of also the training that involved shoring up PR. So I recommend that you also consider including in your area council your VP of public relations. The other pieces of the area council are kind of really mirrored also the district level. And we're talking about if we're shoring up club performance and club level experiences, there will always be a level related to the education program. There will always be a level related to club quality and also to club growth. So in an area council, it's also recommended you identify someone who will serve at the area level, the program quality assistant area director, and also an assistant area director club growth, because those individuals will then could serve as honing in specific to the needs around program quality for your area that can and would and should be communicated and shared by the division director, then going up to the district level. So again, for your area council, it's again recommended you have those individuals from the club officer positions as members of your area council. You as an area director, you are the chair. You are the chair of that council. And so when we talk about council meetings, what do you do in terms of meetings? It mirrors what happens at the club level. For those of you that have been officers, especially if you've been officers, I'm assuming your executive committee have worked together to develop the club success plan. One of the roles and one of the advantages of an area council is that that area council comes together and develops also an area success plan, which should mirror what the clubs are doing. The other advantage of an area council is, and I'll talk about, it touches upon what Jim was saying and what Tan was saying. This is an opportunity for you as an area director to get the pulse of your clubs. Say you have monthly area council meetings. One way of getting the pulse is getting together your area council members to share their what are their challenges, what are their victories, what are some best practices that they've seen. An area council provides a wonderful opportunity for you as an area director to get that information, to be able to feed that and share that with your division director, who should then be able to feed that information to the district. The other benefit is that in an area council, you have the opportunity for peers within your area to get to know each other, to share best practices, to share information and resources, all at that level. So again, that's one of the benefits, again, of why you have an area council meeting. Area secretary is the same as a secretary. Those are individuals who would take minutes. It's organize things that you as a chair would like to see. But then again, it's up to you, but at a minimum, you should have all of these components and individuals that you can identify. The assistant area director, program quality and club growth are generally appointed. So you can appoint individuals in your area to serve in those roles. The other is for you, area councils, it provides an opportunity for you to find your successor and to give other opportunities for people to take other leadership roles. So now let's go into the division, and this will go faster, I promise, because the division council mirrors what the area council. It's just that it's a broader scope. And so rather than looking at you're looking at the division level. For division directors, your immediate team is, well, number one, you're the chair of the division council. And as part of that, we recommend that you also have an assistant division director, program quality, an assistant division director for club growth. Also to do the same thing, but in terms of program quality support and monitoring, identifying the unique needs of the division, to be able to identify specific to the division. And it comes from a pool of people from your division. And then the immediate team members are your area directors in your division that are part of that. Again, the frequency and the purpose of the meeting serves the same way how I explained for the area council. This is another opportunity for you, even on a monthly basis, to get the pulse from your area directors, to be able to gather information and to give information. And that's the same thing with the area council, opportunities for communication to your immediate team. I also recommend that for the division council, you also include a public relations component, perhaps an assistant division public relations individual as well. Now, the next part of the team, when we get to the district team, Tan mentioned this, again, you as district leaders, there will be, you'll see the acronyms or the terms district council and district executive committee. The district executive committee, again, like the club executive committee, I think of executive as it's a smaller group of people. The district executive committee comprises of all of the district leadership team, the top, what's called the top 7. And that includes also the division directors, as well as the area directors and the immediate past. So DEC is a smaller group of people. It does not include any representatives from the clubs. Think of it executive committee, it's just for the district. So that's usually, at least over 30. I think it's closer to 40 people that are part of the DEC. The district director chairs that DEC. The next is the district council, and the district council we call DC. That is the DEC, it's going into alphabet soup, plus all of the club presidents and VPEs of the district. So the only thing you add for district council is you're adding the club presidents and the VPEs, who are the top 2 executive officers of all the clubs. So those are that's the district team, which is going to be managed and led by the district director. So for next year is Tan Pham, who'll be leading the district team. Other parts of the team, I'm not going to go over. You can refer to the handbook for if you're interested in looking at what the regions and the board of directors and all the other things. I'm not going to cover that for the purposes of right now. So let's take a breath. Riot, okay, relax. It's only Toastmasters. And again, if you feel overwhelmed, if you feel like, wow, this is too much information, from this, if you can understand and grasp that there are different levels, and at the area, the team for each level, for the area directors are comprised of the presidents, VPE, VPM, and VP Public Relations, along with the program quality, club growth, and an area secretary. If you can grasp that, along with the division councils, comparable team composition, but for the division level, then we're good to go for this part of knowing who your team. Okay. All right. So let's talk about area directors, and I'm going to go quickly through this. This again just gives a visual for those that couldn't. This might be this is another refresher. If you look at this as an org chart, it's exactly what I just mentioned, except for adding a box for VP of Public Relations. So area director, you've got club presidents. This is only for a 2-club area. So if you have 4 clubs, you're going to have 4 horizontal components of the club presidents for each of the clubs. But there will only be 1 area secretary and 1 program quality and 1 club growth. For division directors, let's look at this visually as an org chart. It's the same thing, except for division director, you're at the top and you've got your area directors. Your area directors, this is for a visual for a division with 4 area directors. If you have 5 or 6, you'll have 4, that number. But again, there's only be 1 program quality and 1 club growth. And again, a recommendation of a public relations person for your division. Now, then let's talk about like team support. So division directors, if you're looking at, and everyone, when you're looking at your team, especially division directors, this is how the boxes are individuals, are people. So you need to, and it's recommended, you've got a team of these individuals to manage and to put them together to be successful, to be effective. And how you would, do that are different ways that we're going to talk about in a few minutes. But just imagine, like I said, for the division director, it's a huge kind of hierarchy. When it gets to the division district level, it's even more because you've got other, you've got all the other components and all the other individuals of the team members. But like I said, visually, this is what your team looks like, especially for your division director to be able to manage and communicate and lead an effective team. So let's talk about the team agreement. And sometimes you'll see this in the TI handbook as a charter. You can look at the team agreement as a way to help your team to be effective and productive, by guiding them in determining some areas that relate to values and goals and setting, clear expectations. Jim had mentioned, and all of you may be familiar with the club success plan. There are pieces in that plan, and even in the area success plan and the division success plan, these things about answering questions, who are your team, what's the team composition and all that. I'm going to cover it here. And it's just, you can use the plan as a way, but for you leading your respective teams of your area teams and your division teams to think of these 5 areas in terms of an agreement. The earlier you can discuss some of these components and come to an agreement, the better. It's highly recommended. But also know that there may be pieces that you may want to modify. So first, we already talked about what the team composition is, who's on your team for your area, if you're area director in your division. The other has to do with, your values. Top on the list for Toastmasters International, as you know, is the core Toastmasters International core values. I like to remember it as the acronym of RISE, R-I-S-E. So respect, integrity, service, and excellence. Now, you as a team may come up with other things, other areas and other components. In one of my teams, we added honesty. We added another one. We added punctuality. Or the other was communication, which we'll talk about in just a few minutes. But whatever you develop as values, it should be agreed upon by all of you. The other is team operating principles. Now, what does that mean? Well, that means like, how often are you going to meet? How often, what's the best way of communicating with each other? Is it only, or do you agree only by email? Or are you going to agree that maybe you're going to meet monthly and you get all that information? There's all these things of how you're going to operate as a team, as a group, but also individually. How will you communicate with each other? One area that I, as district director, had worked out was number one, the trio team met monthly. Or not monthly, weekly. You wish it was monthly, right? No, we met weekly, and it was like Friday, 7 a.m. in the morning, and it was pretty consistent. And that was our way to be able to gather all the information. The other is, communication. How are you going to communicate? I operated generally, and this is up to you, but it's like multiple modes of communication, unless you can get an agreement that people are going to be checking their email. So there's like multiple modes: email, text, phone call. What I worked out with some team members, which they understood, if I was calling them, it was urgent. If I needed something to gather attention that wasn't quite urgent, and I knew people were at work or it was during the day or whatever, I would go by text or flagging. There's an email that's coming. Please check your email, and I would communicate that by text. Those kinds of operating principles you need to agree upon ahead of time, what works for your team, and have an agreement on what that is. Meeting protocols, again, frequency, how often are you going to meet? Area council, your division council, you already heard from Tan, there's a monthly division and area meetings. All of those need to be all considered together. You're all part of the team, bigger team, but you're also broken up into sub-teams. So understanding what those protocols are, and trying to be as consistent as possible and trying to avoid conflict, especially for meetings that are, if you know that you're having a division director meeting on Saturdays, say at 8 a.m. On the third Saturday of the month, division directors, you may not, and area directors, you may not want to schedule area council or division council meetings on the third Saturdays at 8. You may want to coordinate that and stagger them. The other has to do with team interaction and behavioral norms. Again, how are you interacting with each other? How are you giving each other feedback? How are you communicating with each other? All of those types of behaviors and interaction is something that you need to identify and agree upon in advance. Now let's talk about team motivation. You know, we're all individuals, and we're, as individuals, as human beings, we have different expectations and different ways of thinking. So some 5 principles of motivation, you know, want to highlight, you know, really for each individual team member, you know, understand what motivates each team member. That means you need to get to know your team member over time. The earlier, the better, and consistently is better. You know, asking them, you know, what is it that they want, for example? Why are they in this role? What are their goals that they want to achieve in their respective role for this year? Those kinds of things will give you an inkling of what motivates them. You know, maybe they might be more goal oriented in terms of they want to reach a certain goal, or maybe there might be some other kinds of things that they want to accomplish. Get to know them and find that out, what motivates them. The other is, when you're doing that, you're focusing also on identifying the value. It's like with club members, you know, we want to give them value in a club meeting. It's the same thing with your team, whether it's your area directors or your division directors or your club officers, you know, being able to answer what's in it for them in being in that role, being a part of the meeting or being a part of the council, whatever it is. Understanding what is it and trying to really get them to understand what that value is, so it's worth their time, that they're getting something from it. The third is, you know, being upfront on expectations, you know, communicating what your goals, what your expectations are. You know, people have lives, you know, it's like what Jim said, Riot, relax, it's only Toastmasters. You know, we have personal lives, we have jobs, we have families, but we also have responsibilities, and we committed to this role. So what are your expectations? If someone cannot attend the meeting, what are some things that you're communicating that you would expect them or would want them to do? For example, if they can't attend a monthly meeting, say a division director or an area council meeting, you may ask a president to have a representative to give the club report at an area council meeting because the president can't attend. The work and things are being done, but it's done in collaboration with each other. The other is, you know, again, understanding, you know, that you're communicating with each other what your expectations are, but also understanding that trying to make allowances and being flexible and understanding, empathetic to people's situations at the same time. Fourth is recognition, you know, taking the opportunity every single time that you can to thank and acknowledge your members, your team members and individual members for their accomplishments. Anything, even, you know, even what may be considered as small or not a major event, anything, you know, anything acknowledging that thank you for preparing the agenda or organizing a meeting, whatever it is, acknowledge, and when you can, in public and also individually in person. You know, one lesson one tip I've tried to do as not as successfully, but, you know, finding the opportunities to actually handwrite notes to people. I found that actually goes a long way versus an email, you know, because the person took time to actually handwrite something and mail it. That adds another component of recognition. The other is, leading by example. People are watching you. People are mirroring you. Whatever you're doing, they're going to see as whatever the norm is. So set the bar as high as you can, but know that you're leading in your respective role for your team, not only for the team that you're managing below you, so to speak, but also the team that you are a part of as well, that are looking at you. Team conflict. There's always, because we're talking about individuals, there will always be conflict. And so there are several points to highlight. And these are, some of this are things I think will resonate with each and every one of you, either at personal level or professional. Whenever there's issues, talk in private. And one is never talk in private and try to address the issue as promptly as possible. Don't let it sit. Don't always say, oh, I'll talk about it, or we'll address it next time, because sometimes some of these issues can grow out of proportion when they're not addressed. So always address and talk to the individuals, and do this in private. When you're meeting, be able to, take some responsibility and come to some sort of agreement that there are going to be areas or steps that you both, and I'm using the two-person kind of conflict, that you two will aim to resolve. The other is, be non-judgmental, always present facts, not emotions. I noticed this, or I've noticed that you haven't been able to attend, the meetings for the past couple of months. I'm wondering, is there anything I could do? Always communicate based on what you're noticing, you see, what you have seen firsthand, and also doing it in an unemotional way as best as you can. And if you can't, postpone or take the time to don't do the meeting in person until you can get your emotions in check. And then, determine the points, and, there's always black or white. There's always agreement and disagreement, and determine what those points are. And sometimes you're going to have to agree to disagree, but always decide how you're going to move forward based on what is best in the best interest of the team and what your goal is. And then lastly, whenever you're in a meeting, always summarize follow-ups, what was discussed. It's always best to put things in writing. You could do it one-on-one, and it makes things clearer. And makes sure that you're on the same page with the other individuals. And then in that communication, identify what were those steps that you agreed upon to move forward, and always follow up and make sure that those things and items that you agreed upon were actually done. Accountability is important as well. So let's do a recap. When we're talking about, we just talked about developing successful teams. We talked about, area and division directors, you have a lot of responsibilities. You have different teams, team members within your respective levels. The benefits of council meetings are important because it serves as a venue for you to be able to communicate information that is coming from the district level of upcoming events. It's also two-way for you as an area and division director to be able to get the pulse and information of challenges, of victories, of best practices that you can actually use for your role, for your benefit. Team agreements are important to be able to really solidify and come to an agreement, just so that you can be more effective together as a team and more productive to be able to reach your goals. Good team leaders employ those 5 principles of motivation that we talked about. One is, understanding what motivates them, what they value, what's in it for them, and always making sure that you're recognizing individuals and then you're leading by example. Lastly, resolving conflict is important, and resolving them as early as possible is also important to create, to minimize any future issues that could detrimentally affect the operations of your team. So when we talk about a team again, a successful team, is a group of many hands and one mind. Again, it's more than, as we, as Jim mentioned, and as you know, there is no I in the word team. So everyone in the team is a valued member and should be seen and treated as a valued member. That member needs to be supported, and how you would support them is really getting to know them and working cohesively together as best as you can. Because together, when you're successfully working together as a team, you can accomplish so much more. So my recommended next steps, I want to leave you with some 4 tips. And one is, get to know your team as quickly as possible and as consistently. The importance of developing those goals and success plans. We talk about, if you plan to win, you plan, you need to, if you don't have a plan to win, you really have a plan to fail. So it's important that you develop those plans, and those plans at the area and division level should also be in alignment with the district success plan, which most likely it will be, because we're always accomplishing the same things, but always make sure that you have those plans shared with your district team. And then I'm going to get into what's in it for you. It's for you to continue your training, your learning, and your feedback. Taking on district leadership is more than just checking off a box and serving as and performing responsibilities based on a handbook. It's also about your own learning, your own growth. And part of that, I encourage you, for all the opportunities and all the things that you're doing in your district leadership roles, align it with your pathways levels. There are many speech projects, especially in the level 4 and 5s, for responsibilities that you are doing in your respective roles that align with those projects. Take advantage of that and use your clubs and opportunities to give those speeches, but also use the opportunity to continue your own learning and growth. And then 4th is, cannot underestimate the value of having mentors. If you do not at least have one mentor in your Toastmaster journey, I encourage you to do so. In fact, several. I have at least more than a dozen of mentors within Toastmasters and professionally, and they have served invaluable feedback and support for me. And I encourage you to do the same. You cannot grow without feedback, and mentors provide that source of mentorship and also feedback that can allow you to grow and learn at the same time. And then I'm going to add a 5th one. And the 5th one is, do not believe that you have ESP. And that means, and it has to do with communication, because I've learned this, okay? Be mindful of how you're communicating. Do not assume, or maybe you might not think communication is important, but people cannot read your minds unless they have that ESP and they can actually read your mind, but that I know is a rarity. So anything that you're doing and you want to be sure that people know what's happening, you need to communicate it. And oftentimes you have to communicate it using different modes of communication. Email, verbal, by phone, by text, by newsletters, by whatever forms of communication, social media, whatever it is, you need to make sure that you are communicating things. Because I've learned that when I'm communicating something that, I'm going to use food because I'm kind of hungry, and I'm going to give you, sometimes I communicate something that is in the form of a chocolate cake. And in my mind, I'm communicating chocolate cake. And then somebody else, the recipient of that message, it's coming back as a donut with sprinkles. Or sometimes they're going, what chocolate cake? I never saw it. So the point is, what you communicate sometimes doesn't get there, or sometimes people don't see it the same way you do. Because, for example, I'm Miss Dissertation who loves to type and write, and I'm learning and improving on my verbal and or written communication. Sometimes people get overwhelmed by all the verbiage that they see, and the message gets lost. So what I've learned is be succinct, to the point. The first thing that you want to communicate should be on the first point of contact, or first thing that comes from your mouth, because that's the point that they're going to remember. So communicate, 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 and don't think people have ESP. So in closing, we talked about, all this knowledge. Knowledge is a treasure, but practice is key to it. And Lao Tzu had a philosopher, Chinese philosopher, had said this. We're giving you all this information. Now you need to practice and put it all to use. And don't be afraid, because you are not in this alone. You have tremendous support to be able to do what you're going to do. And our founder, Ralph Smedley, had this to say, ours is the only organization I know dedicated to the individual. We work together to bring out the best in each of us. Then we apply these skills to help others. Work with your team, support your team, and don't be afraid. It's going to be kind of messy, or it feels a little bit uncomfortable as you're doing it, but I encourage you to push through it using the support that you have within Toastmasters and within the district team to be able to develop those successful teams for you to have a successful year and an enjoyable learning growth experience in your district leadership role. Back to you, Tan, Program Quality Director and District Director-elect.
Thank you so much, Clarice. Great job of showing the team, the leaders here, how to develop their teams, especially as they grow into their roles this coming year. Speaking of developing teams, years ago when I had become an area director, I didn't know where to start. So what I did was I looked at the district calendar and identified the events that we needed to chair or oversee. And that's where the team composition helps. Who's going to help me with the speech contest, or who's going to help me with officer training? And this is where your presentation really helps our area directors know they're not in it alone. They can reach out to the club leaders, they're senior, they want to be involved with the district. As you build those relationships with that team, you can visit their clubs, which Jim will talk about in a little bit during club visits. They're going to build that trust. You have opportunities to talk and be a representative of the district. And you will also probably be asked to do club officer installations. We have scripts for that will help you as a district leader. You know the calendar, you have resources that the club officers really want to hear about. So they will really invite you when you're doing your club visits. And I like to make it a lot of fun. I know you talked about donuts and food. That's a lessons learned for me. The next district officer training or club officer training needs to have some food involved for the attendance. We need to keep the food going. And I did that as an area director. I held council meetings with the team. I invited them to my house. We had Chick-fil-A. We had a great time over food, and we got to talk about what to do for the next few months. So you can really make your council meetings fun with your team that you're going to build. And it's transferable skill. You can do this at work as well, or if you're not working, in your private or personal life, whether it's a place of worship or elementary. Make it fun, make it enjoyable for your whole team. So thank you so much for that presentation and the transferable skills. We will now take, do we have any questions? Any questions? Okay, what we'll do is we'll take a short break, another 5-minute break, and we'll reconvene at 10:02, and we will have Jim Kearney come on at 10:02. Okay, thank you very much. Let's take a break and pause the recording. Sure. Welcome back after your break. I know it was a short one, but we want to give just a chance to just refresh, get a little break, get a little break in while we can, especially with online training. Our next presenter is going to give us some tools and tips, guidance from the officer training, district officer training subject about club visits. Again, what area directors will do is do virtual and or in-person club visits throughout the year. And that's going to be a great way to build your relationship as a district leader. So please welcome giving a presentation over club visits. Welcome back, distinguished Toastmaster Jim Kearney.
He's back. Hello, everybody. I am glad to be back again. I hope you're not tired of me yet. Just in case you missed it the last time, this is my contact information. And this session is going to be about club visit strategies. What does the area director have to do when they're going to club visits and things of that nature? Well, I'm going to try to go over what I think a successful club visit is and what we expect to have from the outcomes of a club visit. And then, of course, time provided, I'm going to open it up for questions and answers. The last session, we went through stuff really quickly. This time we have a lot more slides to go over. So if I start talking like this, you'll understand everything, correct? Did somebody answer? I don't hear any answers.
You spoke too fast.
Exactly. I couldn't communicate properly. Thank you. So I want to communicate this stuff, and I want to make sure that you guys have understanding. So as I'm going through this, a lot of this may be something new to the people who are brand new area directors. If you have a pressing question that you think needs to be answered while I'm doing this, please unmute yourself and ask your question. Because I don't know if I'm going to have enough time to do questions and answers at the end, but we're going to try to get there. Today, I want to go over different objectives. I want to identify what a successful club looks like. I want you to be able to recognize the club visit outcomes of what you want to have done when you finish visiting. And of course, we want to develop different strategies on how to hold a productive and successful club mission or club visit. So what's a club visit? Anyone guess? Someone tell me.
When you visit a club.
And
report.
And report. So when you go through the club visits, you're at the club visit, and it's probably the most impactful tool in supporting and influencing a club throughout your team. Now, you're the area director. You're the one that's there. You are the interface between the club, which deals with all the members, and the district, which deals with every member throughout the whole entire district. And clearly, the district isn't able to see every single member every single time. And so you, as the area director, have your finger on that pulse. And I wish that to go through this, and I want to be able to define what a successful club visit is. I want you to be able to assist your clubs and make them all successful. And earlier we talked about how do we do this, right? So the key was preparation, 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 because you can't go into this without knowing what you're going to be doing. So prior to your club visit, there are certain things that you want to take a look at. And we talked about some of these in the previous previous lecture. So let's go over some of them again. So there's the area director's dashboard. There's the moments of truth. There's the distinguished club program dashboard that's on the TI site. There's an area director club visit report that we had talked about. There's the club success plan that we had talked about. And then of course, there's other questions that you might want to consider while you're going to the club. So if you go through the preparation of looking at all these different pieces, you may come up with some certain questions that you want to ask. So let's go over these pieces one at a time. Your area director's dashboard. The division area performance dashboard gives you an overview of the division status broken down by areas. You can see at a glance the renewals, club visits, how many members to date, club goals, and whether or not they reached their goals, where they stand. Overall, this paints for you as the area director an overall idea inside your head of what your area is doing. So you can sit here and look at all the different clubs, and you can sit there and see where they stand and how it's affecting your area. Low numbers indicate issues that should be addressed. So when you're looking at these club visits, I don't know if you can see this picture there. So there's Y's and N's in here, and the N's are meaning no's and low numbers, right? These mean that certain things have to be taken care of and certain things need to be addressed. And it's up to you when you do those club visits to ask the officers of the club where they stand, what they're doing, highlight this as an issue, and find out what can you, as the area director, do to help support that club and resolve those issues. The next big thing, moments of truth. How many people heard of moments of truth? Who can tell me what it is? Anybody? Unmute.
Jim,
Yes.
if I were to de-jargonize that, that would be, honey, let's talk.
Oh, almost. And can anyone else tell me what a moment of truth is?
It's a workshop presented at a club that helps ascertain the quality of the meetings that are being held and put a plan into place to make improvements.
Awesome.
I would also add to that is that it's a tool to assess the current state of the club. How are we doing? Where are we?
Correct. The current health of the club. And there is a presentation for the moments of truth. And it goes through the page of all the different pieces of the moments of truth. Basically what the moments of truth is, when anyone comes into contact with any aspect of Toastmasters, I don't care what it is, any aspect of Toastmasters, the person forms an impression inside their head based on his or her experience at that moment. Clubs remain cognizant of these crucial, divisive times to ensure that every experience with a Toastmaster is a positive one, or at least that's what we're supposed to be doing. There are 6 crucial moments of truth in which a club has the opportunity to create some positive impressions. You have the first impressions, you have membership orientation, fellowship, variety, and communications, program planning, membership strength, and of course, the achievement recognition section. Now, if you're the area director, I would recommend that you have the club officers deliver their moments of truth presentations early in the year. As it was explained, it is a presentation that goes out there and it measures how the club is doing well. Now, my recommendation is when you're going through all the different pieces, you use a numbering system. Use numbers 1 through 5. You have this list out there and you tell them in the left-hand column, you use the numbers 1 through 5, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. How well does the club do on each one of those pieces? And then on the right-hand column, you have them using the numbers 1 through 5, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. How important is this to the club? And anytime that you turn around and you have those 2 questions in place and there's a number differential of 2 or more, that's something the club needs to work on. So if you can, take a moments of truth presentation, or when you talk to your club officers, and have them do one for you. Now, the club success plan. The easiest way to look at a club success plan, to look at any success plan, is that it's a roadmap. Now, how many people drive? Everyone drive? When you drive, you're using GPS, or before GPS, you use the map, and you had to figure out the route on how do you get from point A to point B, and where you want to, what roadblocks you're going to hit, and how do you get around these things and those things. That is what the club success plan. That's what it is. It is a roadmap. There are multiple layers, multiple ways for clubs to do different things. District 33 has a simplified spreadsheet that covers everything in the club success plan. You can use that, or you can use the pages here. The club success plan, being the roadmap, gives the club a direction to follow in order to be successful and reach their goals. If you don't plan to win, you plan to fail. And the club success plan is put in place for the club to win. You should encourage clubs to build one and upload it to the TI site as soon as possible through Club Central. If you have to, assist the clubs to establish their DCP goals and use the plan to achieve that goal. Even if it means taking the VPE aside and showing that VPE, this person wants to reach this goal by this date, you should be scheduling these different talks or these different speeches, and show them how to set it up on the website and whatever it takes in order to make sure everything is done and everything is planned. Get them to understand the benefits of the plan, establish their plan, and upload it into Club Central. Now, who can tell me about the DCP dashboard? Anyone tell me about the dashboard? We're Toastmasters. You can unmute.
Yeah, the dashboard is shows the measurement of a club towards their goals, not only in pathways, but as well as officer training and membership.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Greg. That is correct. Now, TI doesn't know anything about clubs other than what's on that dashboard. That's the only way they can tell anything. So they look at the numbers. The club dashboard tells you two main things on the DCP trail. It tells you the membership status and the goal status. You need to meet both membership and goals to become a distinguished or better club. Now, membership, you can see the little square up there that's labeled membership, and it tells you the base that you started the year with, what is required, and how many you have to date. So in this particular case, it well, even I can't see that. It looks like it shows 16 that they started with. The needed 20 by the end of the year, and to date, they currently have 20. So they've met their goal. And then, of course, you have the different educational goals, right? So you have you need 5 points for distinguished, 7 points for select distinguished, 9 points for president's distinguished. We want to have all clubs shoot for president's distinguished. So as an area director, as a division director, your goal is to push your clubs to be president's distinguished. To do that, you want to have them at charter strength, 20 or more, and have them get 9 points for their educational goals. So that's one of the paramount things that you should be trying to push. Now, the area director club visit reports. Now, this is the measurement of how you see the club. And this is different from what used to be. Now, I don't know how many of you were in the area director position before the changes came about. But at that time before, it was like 24, 26 pages, and they're asking all sorts of questions and filling the numbers and everything like that. These area director club visit reports are different. The ones that they have now are awesome. So your area club visit report, you'll be required to make a report twice a year, minimum twice a year. for the clubs in your division. And there are, it's only a 7-page document. You can print it out before you go to the visit, take all the notes that you want, transpose them back over when you complete your visit. The questions in the report pertain to how well the club is adhering to the moments of truth in the club success plan. But the difference between these reports and what was before is these reports allow you to make comments. And when you put in those comments, the district leadership gets to see those comments and recognize what parts or what clubs are having problems, what needs to be addressed, different things of that nature. So your comments, constructive as they are, should help the district trio and the district leadership have a better outlook at the club rather than just seeing some number and trying to guess what's going on. So your comments are important. Make sure you put the comments in there. I guarantee you, your district leadership will thank you for it. They will be very happy that you do it. Now, when you go to the club, you're going to have certain questions that you might want to consider based on the things that you saw. You don't know everything about the club. You're walking in there. Maybe it's the very first time you've ever been to that club. You don't know the culture. You don't know anything. Perhaps the club itself doesn't know everything about the club. So you should ask pertinent questions to be sure that the club is going in the direction of success that the district needs them to go to, right? So you want the 20 people, you want the educational points and things of that nature. So you should be asking different questions like, what is your plan for finding new members? Right? There's 3 different drives that Toastmasters International puts on for membership drives, and the goal of those 3 drives are 5 new people. Now, if every club in Toastmasters found 5 new people during every drive, that's 15 new people every single year. If you add clubs that did that, you would never have a membership problem. So one of the things you're probably going to have to tackle is the way the club thinks. You have to change the way they think in terms of members. They have to brand themselves in order to be successful. It has to be fun. It has to be educational. This is your job as an area director. You want to push them in that direction so that they can successfully bring in new people. And then they won't have any membership problems. That membership happens to be the biggest problem of every club. All right. Who are your mentors in the club? This is another question you should be asking. And do they know what the job of a mentor entails? Now, I'm not necessarily talking about a club mentor who's trying to get the club started, right? So you have a brand new club that just got created. You have a mentor that shows them how to run meetings and things like that. That's not the mentor I'm talking about. I'm talking about the mentor who has mentees, and you're guiding that person through the different steps of how to get the goals that they want to reach. When was the last time a Moments of Truth presentation was done at the club? If they can't answer that question, then they probably need to have another one. When was the last time the DCP status was presented to the club members? It should be done at a minimum once a month. All right. Your club, you're the area director. And you have a team of people, and on that team, you have certain club officers that are part of your team. It's up to you to build a rapport with those club officers. Trust doesn't come out of thin air. Gaining the trust and making the individual or the team feel that you are one of them is a key factor to the success of being an area director. When I was a coach, it was an absolute necessity that they knew I was there for them. I was one of them. I felt their pain, and I'm there to try to help them solve those issues. Nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. When your club officers view you as a go-to resource with answers, something that you can get them and give them resources and make them successful, then they will do anything they can for you. Because just as much as you want them to succeed, they want to succeed as well. Your presidents, your VPEs will be your army marching their clubs towards success if you get them to see you as a resource. It's all about the mindset. I know we're not all psychologists. There may be a few of you that are psychologists out there, but it's all about the mindset. If you yourself don't have a successful mindset, rest assured, none of the club officers in your clubs will have it either. You need to be the officer's coach or the officer's mentor. You yourself as the area director need to be the coach or mentor of the officers of that club. You want them, let's see, how do I want to say this? You want to show them that you want their club to succeed, and you want to be able to help them get there. So it's up to you to build that trust and help move them along. Now, how many of you have ever visited a club? Has anyone visited a club before? Anybody? Nobody's visited a club before?
I visited
Yes, I have.
Okay. So when you visited that club, what was your experience?
Well, my personal experience, this is Patricia. I was not introduced and I was never asked at the end of the meeting what my input was for their club. So I learned that I really do need to connect with the president ahead of time and ask to be introduced and ask if I have anything to share at the end of the meeting.
Awesome.
I was just there visiting and that was it.
Awesome. Wonderful. So you basically had a negative experience. Now, this is good because when you have that experience, you have something that you can use when you go visit your clubs.
Right.
And you can sit there and say, how does this club that I'm visiting now differ from the club that I had that negative experience from? How is this club the same as that club? What did you do at the other club to get them to move towards success? So if you had a negative experience at the other club and you decided to talk to them and make some changes and do something about it, what was it that you did? And do you need to do that at the current club? Will those same things work at the current club or not? So anytime that you go visit a club, even if you're visiting a club as a guest, or they have the I forget what a club ambassador program, I think it is, the club ambassador program where you go visit the clubs. If you're coming in as an area director and you've been an ambassador and you've seen how these other clubs work, and now you're area director and you can measure those other clubs to the clubs that are inside your area, what's different? What needs to change? And then you can offer your help. So the thing to remember is you can't force the club to do anything. All you can do is offer. You can give them the resources. You can show them the path. And they have to make their own choice for them, for themselves. So the more you give them and the more they feel that you are a resource, the better off your area is going to be. And what are the follow-up tasks after a visit? There are certain things that you should be doing, right? The goals, you have certain set of goals. And all clubs need to help in one form or another in order to reach those goals. So what task did you assign that club? And who's the responsible party? When are you going to follow up on? What are the expectations from that club? What are the expectations that the club is expecting from you? Now, when you visit the club and you talk to the officers, these are some of the questions you should be asking. And you should write them all down. Write them down in your club visit report, write them down somewhere so that you have a record of what needs to be done, and make sure you follow through on your tasks, no matter what. It's important that you as the area director follow through, even if the club does not, because you want to build that trust, you want to build that rapport, and you want to show that you're there for them. So always follow through. It's important. That's a very key thing to remember. And once you do all these club visits, there's certain outcomes that you're expecting. And I would like to think that you open things up a little bit differently. And so you would want to see some of the key areas of success that you can see by using the dashboard before you visit the club, such as the membership levels, what's the base, what's required, how many do you have to date, and what are they going to do about it? Now, of course, you want them to do the low-hanging fruit first, right? Is everyone on pathways or not? Are the officers open to explaining the club status? Are the officers supporting their members? And you should open this wide up with all the officers. You should be upfront with them, and you should have the discussions inside the club so that all the members know what's going on. The more they know, the more involved and the more engaged they're going to be. It's always about the member. It's always about getting that member to succeed. It's always about getting that member towards the goal. Without the member, the club doesn't exist. So you need to make sure that the officers are serving the members. What successes can you easily identify during a visit? Now, if you go to a visit and you see that there's 30 people in the room and the club is presenting awards and all these other good things that are going on, these are successes. You should make note of those successes. You should make note of them inside your report, and you should make note of them publicly in the meeting. Praise will get you everywhere. The more you do it, the better off people are going to be. Everybody, including myself, wants that pat on the back. You're doing a good job, Jim. Way to go. Now, what are some of the common issues that a club may need support in? And we went through a couple of these things. I really think that you guys should probably try to remember these, because these are important. Membership drives. I mentioned about the mindset. You need to change the club's mindset about members. A lot of times they're only sitting there and they're doing the speeches every week and they're conducting their meeting, but they're not thinking about getting new members. Now, let's face it. People lose their job. People move. God forbid, people die. The numbers go down. You have to get new members. During the 3 membership drives from Toastmasters International, it's 5 people in each drive. if you can get that mindset into the club officers' heads and into the members of the club, 5 people every drive, then that club will never fail. But you need to change that mindset. So that's something big that you're going to have to be working on. Moments of truth presentations. If a club hasn't done a moments of truth in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, nobody in that club probably remembers anything, because the people in that club are probably not there from 5 years ago. Running a moments of truth presentation should be done at least once a year, preferably at the beginning of the year, so that every member in the club knows what's expected. Now, of course, you also have other type of things that are going on, right? So you have your officers training. You want to emphasize officers training. It's done twice a year, mostly because you have some clubs that are 6 months rather than a full year. So they used a glove, one fits all. So everyone goes to officers training twice a year. If you don't have functionary cards for the meeting, this is something you as the area director can provide in order to make the meeting more cohesive and flowing easy. If you need a set of functionary cards, contact me, use my email address, send me a text message. We'll get you functionary cards. You can give them to all your clubs. And in the functionary cards, they sit there and they tell you, you just simply have to read the functionary cards. You don't have to memorize anything. Should also get some virtual meeting cards and virtual membership packets if they don't already exist. I have the timers cards. I have a timers report, grammarian report, O'Connor report, and a general evaluator report that you can use as templates. If you want copies of those, let me know. I'll send them over to you. You can provide them to your clubs, and then they can use those as part of the meeting reports that the secretary takes. And it's real easy. They just simply fill in the blanks. They're all templates. They just fill in the blanks and then they can submit them. So the more you give to the club, the more you make the club have an easier time, the more successful that club is going to be, and the more they look at you as a resource. So how many people can think of other ways that you can add value to the club during a visit? Anybody?
We can give evaluations, like volunteer for a meeting role or speak at their meeting if they need some volunteers at a club meeting.
Awesome. Take on meeting roles. Anything else?
Also, I think that you can offer to instill their club officers.
Awesome.
Install, I guess I should say.
Yes, install. Anybody else? All right. How about this one? How about recognizing success? I recommend that you hand out awards, recognitions, clearly pre-arranged with the president if possible. Give copies of links of books, etc., resources to the club, whatever it takes. Just send this club as many resources and much information as they could possibly handle to be successful, and let them know that you are there to help them. That's your job. You are helping that club be successful. Tell the club of the incentives, tell the club of the upcoming events, tell the club of the district goals. Let them know all this information so that they can help drive everything in the club for the district throughout the year. Now, I did drop.
Question on that.
Yep, go ahead.
Okay, if we were to hand them items when we go visit, do we have any type of budget? Like to make copies or things, or buy handbooks from Toastmasters International or just make copies of things, print copies?
There is no budget for the area director.
Jim, let me come in there. Sometimes the divisions currently does have a fund budgets. I was an area director. I was handed a small amount of funds that we had collected because we operated in-person speech contests. So that's a way of generating revenue to buy trophies and to do what you're talking about on the area level. If you do not have area or division funds, please work with the district, myself, and we will work on allocating budget to support the clubs for your requirements, because we are here to support the existing clubs. So your expense will be part of the district budget. So we can work with that, Eve.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Tim. So I did drop a copy of these slides inside the chat room already. So these links are here. If you need to go out and look at some of the things, the links are here. Now, let's get on with some club visit strategies. Who can tell me what the strategy of your club visit is going to be? You're an area director. You're walking in there. It's the first time that you're there. What's your goal?
My goal would be to assess the situation based upon all the things you've taught us.
Awesome. Anybody else?
Try to connect with the officers and group that you're meeting with.
Awesome. Connection is very important. That rapport is absolutely necessary. If you don't have a rapport, you're not going to be successful. All right. So let's open this up for questions and answers. We have a couple of minutes left. Vivian.
Yes, Jim. We become friends. I'm not with District 52, but what I did was visit and as area director. It's the elephant in the room. We forgot. When I visit, I bring in fun. I ask them to call me for table topics. And those who know me know that WWW is not World Wide Web. It's Wacky Wild Woman. Najib knows this. I share with them the lessons that I learned here, but in a fun manner. That to me is the missing link. It looks like so much hard work. Turns people off. Come on, mindset, 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 and thank you for addressing my request for mindset. It's gonna be fun. Come on, that's what Ralph Smedley wanted. Let's do it.
Okay, any other questions? Wow.
I have one, Jim.
Yes, sir, Eric. Let me hear it.
Yeah, Jim, thanks for the wonderful presentation. What do you recommend area directors and even the division director do to engage in succession planning to set up and make the most of your successes throughout the year to be able to pass that success on to the next leaders that take over for you?
So are you talking about succession planning?
Succession planning. So an area director might identify, for example, someone to shadow them and be ready to perhaps take that role in the following year.
That is correct. That
kind of strategies.
I do encourage that in several of my clubs, especially the corporate clubs. 6 months into the year, I start asking who's interested in different leadership roles and what their goals are. And then I have them shadow the person or the one that's in the position that provides the goal that they're looking for. And I give them almost 6 months worth of training before they even take over the following year. But it sets the pace. And it allows during that 6 months, it allows them to do or be a backup for the officer that's already in that position. Now, I don't know in community clubs, I haven't tried it in community clubs yet, because I'm mostly in corporate clubs. And in the corporate club, everyone wants to become the leader. So if you have the same mindset in a community club, then you can follow the same principle. So I agree with you, Eric. Having people shadow the current officers is an awesome idea. Brittany, you have your hand raised?
Yes, I see, the question on the chat from Eve. What is a functionary card?
A function, so if you're the timer, then how do you present your role at the beginning of the meeting? Oh, Mr. Madam Toastmaster, I'm the timer, blah, 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 blah. Or if you're the R counter, I'm the R counter this evening, I'm going to be doing A, B, C, D. You don't have to memorize those things. The functionary cards say exactly what you're going to be doing, and you just simply need to read the card, and it becomes standard across all Toastmasters groups if you have them. And for those of you who don't have them, send me an email, send me a text. I'll be happy to give you a set. I'll see if I can drop a set inside the chat room later. Denise, you have your hand raised.
Hello, yes, I was writing down as frantically as I could all the wisdom that you gave us. I didn't quite get, you said functionary cards and then virtual meeting cards. And do you remember what the third one was? Something else that was virtual? And if you can't, that's cool. Maybe you could tell me later.
They were the different roles, the timer role, counter, grammarian, general evaluator. So they have, I have a template for all of those.
It was actually virtual guest book that you mentioned.
Guest book.
That was also another one. Yes.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I'm gonna request those from you. And great
Yes.
job. Thank you.
All right, we're in the yellow. Are there any other questions? Hearing none, it was my honor to present this to you this evening or this morning. Thank you so much, and I'm throwing it back over at 10. You got it, bud.
Thank you so much, Jim. Great job. Again, Jim has been doing a great job as area director. He's earned it with the President's Distinguished Area. He communicates the club visits. Again, it's a transferable skill as a district leader. You can apply these skills when you do your personal professional life. Think of it as performance reviews. You will visit clubs and be able to see where they are performing and give them a third person's perspective of how their club meeting is operating. This is a skill you could do in a nonprofit organization like Girl Scouts if you have daughters in there. If you're at church, you can give, or place of worship, you can give feedback to other persons of that area. Even in the workplace, if you're mentoring young engineers or employees, it's a great time to provide performance reviews. You get to do this in the area director or division director role. So it is a very key, what the club visits, it's a key skill that you can learn as far as listening and communicating. Club quality, when you do your club visits, you would want your clubs to have a high quality meeting, and you are eyes and ears of the district. For myself, all the district officers, you are the boots on the ground. You get to visit clubs for free and listen, but we will train you with the eyes and ears on how to understand what a quality club meeting is. On July 15th at the club officer training, we will have a breakout session to give a presentation over club quality, and it's going to benefit you as a area and division director and also the club leaders. We want the club meeting to be as beneficial and as strong as possible, and that helps the membership retention. We all have been in the club officer's shoes. Sometimes we just need a jolt of energy or motivation on how to hold a quality meeting to retain and attract members. So that'll be on July 15th. That is another district officer training coming up on July 15th. Thank you again, Jim, for the club visit presentation. With the next presentation, we will now go to talk about the Club Coach Program. The Club Coach Program has been tweaked over the past few years, but it's a resource for clubs to improve and get back on the track of being a successful club. Sometimes a club needs that extra district support, and as a district, we can supply club coaches. Club coaches are experienced Toastmasters that want to volunteer to provide direct support to a club, because you as an area or division director might not have the time in your schedule to work one-on-one with a club. So a club coach can be assigned to a club. We need to let our clubs know they are eligible if they have under 12 members, if they're in good standing. It is a program that we want to, again, let our clubs know about. And if you know about it as an area director, you can help by providing this resource. To talk about the Club Coach Program, I want to introduce our next presenter. He is our Club Growth Director-elect for next year. He began his Toastmasters journey in 2011 in Fresno, California. He's held leadership positions in the club area, division and district levels. He's also helped the district with the newsletter this past year as an editor. In his work life, he retired from the IRS after serving for 37 years. He's got great experience as a frontline manager and department manager. He's received also numerous awards for his leadership, and such as the Congressional Award. He's earned a President's Distinguished status as a division director and also an area governor. He was a Spark Plug of the Year in 2014. Please welcome our speaker to talk about the Club Coach Program, Distinguished Toastmaster Darnell Evans.
Thank you, Tan. Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. Dan kind of gave a little overview of the club coaching program, which he gave a very good overview, which kind of took over my whole presentation. Good job, Dan. So I'm going to just go over some of the manuals on club coaching and also encompass some of the things that Jim and also Clarice hit up on, because it also falls into club coaching. I know a lot of you are probably sitting there asking, wait a minute, why do I need to know about club coaching? That's pretty much for the club and the club executive committee and the president to make that decision. But as a division and area directors, you can have some involvement in it when you're having those conversations with the president. Jim mentioned earlier about you having meetings once a month with your president, and he's kind of right. That's what area directors do. You have a coalition meeting with your subordinates once a month, but sometimes it doesn't work because people just don't feel comfortable. So there's times that you may have to circumvent that and have one-on-ones with them, set up a one-on-one conversation that works for them, because sometimes people don't like to share. You have to remember, we're in Toastmasters and people come from different backgrounds and they have different issues within and what they're trying to improve on. And some of them are not, not that big of communicating in front of a group. So we have to find those ways to communicating and identifying the need of a club coach with the president and the committee, because you have to remember the president is just as green as you are. A lot of times they're green and they don't know when they need a club coach. So those are some conversations you would like to initiate when you see an indicator that membership is falling quickly, you're at the 3-month point and you don't see any track of improvement. You kind of want to initiate that conversation. Have you thought of having a club coach? So what I'm going to go over just the basics of it in 10 minutes. I'm going to go over just the basics of it from the manual and throw a little gospel according to Darnell in it from my experience of being a club coach and a beneficiary of a club coach program. The little overview of the Club Coach Program, it allows experienced Toastmaster members to assist in rebuilding club members and restoring club quality. And these are some things that a successful club coach will contribute to your club. First, they'll help build rapport with officers and members. If there's a communication issue, they can act as a go-between. Remember, they meet with the president. They should be meeting with the president at least periodically to find out what's going on, things that they have identified while they attended in the meeting, and find out from the president what role you want me to play in the club. Because sometimes presidents want the coach to be a participant, to kind of bring some experience. Maybe, for example, if they have a lot of new people who don't feel comfortable, they may ask the club coach, do you mind being the Toastmaster for a while to demonstrate what the Toastmasters do, to get that fear out of others who's scared to be Toastmasters? So those are some of the conversations they will be asking, what role you want me to play in your club? And still enthusiasm and structure within the club. Kind of help with, if they have to give a training or something, talk about those things that are fun in the club. When you're giving feedback, talk about those things you see that builds that enthusiasm, and let them know, well, you know, there are some things that's going on in the district that we're doing that may be fun. How about going there, you know, try to come up with things that exposes them to all aspects of Toastmasters, so that they can find something that fits them and make them very enthusiastic of not only being a part of Toastmasters, also advancing in the organization. Assist the club's environment and recommend best practices for success. Yes, have that conversation with them and say, well, these are some things I recommend that you do, and ask area directors when you're having your area visits and you meet with that president and your executive committee prior to that meeting. When you go to that meeting, you can ask them, I understand you have a club coach. How is that working out? And ask them to give you some things. Just ask them, tell me what's going on, how you're utilizing the coach. You know, try to find out if there's any barriers, because you don't want to wait to the last minute and the coaching is over and you don't see any improvement. If there's a problem, you want to, like Clarissa said in her presentation, when you see a problem, you want to address that problem immediately. You don't want it to drag out to where it becomes toxic or like a cancer, where it just keeps building. You want to address that problem and start the corrective action so that you want the club to be very successful at the end. That's the purpose of coaching. Work with the club officer to develop a club success plan. And that's something that the coach will be doing, working with the officer to make sure that they have a reasonable club success plan. Motivate the club and strive for distinguished club program recognition. And that's something that the president and the coach will be talking about a lot, the distinguished club program. They want to make sure that they're on the right track. And if they see anything that's in there, or either if the president has a problem, sometimes the president's not familiar with the dashboard and they may interpret it totally different than what the real meaning is. And you can go back and say, well, no, it says that in order to become distinguished, you need to have 3 more new members, something like that. They may just think that if they meet the base of 11, that's it, they're distinguished. No, you can explain to them, no, this is how it's interpreted. Club coaches who help clubs achieve distinguished and higher receives an educational program award and digital certificate of accomplishments. And these are some things for those that are interested. Some people just do it just for the kindness of their heart. They have a passion of helping people. So they don't care if there's recognition or not. They probably already have their DTM or already have a coaching award. They just want to do it just to help them. But those that are looking to achieve distinguished status, you definitely will get credit once you complete it. And I'll go over that later in the slides. Let's talk about the eligibility to be a club coach and also to request a coach. The criteria to, let me just think this in my notes, 1 second. Okay, the criteria to The criteria for a prospective coach is they have to be a paid member in good standings, has not been a member of a eligible club in the past 6 months. So this means that you can't be a member of a club that you're coaching in the past 6 months. They have to be fairly new, and have been a member of Toastmasters International for at least 1 year, have served as a club officer for one annual term or 2 semi-annual terms. And the semi-annual terms refers to those coaches that are on the 6-month plan. They elect officers every 6 months. Have completed a minimum of a level 2 in pathways or advanced communication bronze and advanced leadership bronze. And next, have completed the coach program and training module. Let's talk about steps for achievement. The successful club can earn credit toward the programs. In order to complete it, the coach must serve at least 6 months. They have to serve as coach for at least 6 months. If it's not 6 months, you won't get credit. So you want to definitely make sure you're in that 6-month window. If you have any questions, just contact the club growth director. The club coach cannot join the club during that year of appointment. That means that they cannot join the club at all. After the appointment is over, if that's a club that they want to be a part of, they're definitely welcome to. But during the time of their appointment, they can't join the club. The club coach must submit and complete the required forms. Or the club coach preliminary report within 30 days of appointments. Why these reports are important, it's an indicator to the club growth director if the relationship is working. Sometimes the coach in the club, if there's something in there that's not working, or you may need a little assistance from someone else that's a little bit more experience. That's why it's so important to turn those reports, because they're indicators that if help is needed or you're in the right direction. The club coach progress report every 60 days, and the club coach final report after their appointment has ended. Following the 6-month term, the coach club must achieve distinguished or better status by the sequence June 30th. Following the 6-month term, the coach club must achieve distinguished or better by the subsequent June the 30th. So that means that they have to, in order to get the credit, the club must have achieved distinguished status or better. To receive credit, the club president or officer designated of the coach must notify world headquarters in writing. Sometimes they don't know that. So if I would recommend area directors, you ask the vice president of education of the club that you're over to monitor that. If they have a member in their club that is coaching, have them monitor that to make sure that once that's completed, they can also notify world headquarters. Okay, and they also earn additional credit for the district leadership role if the club achieves 20 main paid members or more. If a coach is unsuccessful, the appointment can be extended up to 2 additional program years. Thank you. Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Darnell. Great presentation over the club coach program. Again, as the area directors, you can reach out to the existing club coaches. Some clubs still have club coaches. You can also talk to them, email them, and find out how those clubs are doing. They can be part of your district team as well, because club coaches are an extension of the district team. I'll put that in the chat box of where you can find the list of club coaches for District 33. We will now take a break, 5-minute break, until 11:07, and we will resume at 11:07 with Nico Martin. Thank you. Hello, area division directors. You've learned quite a bit today with how you can help existing clubs via the club visits, also conducting club visit reports as area directors, building your teams as the council members of your area divisions, and then the club coach program. So that helps with the district mission, supporting existing clubs to achieve excellence. Now we will take some time to talk about building new clubs. And the person that's going to give this presentation is our current club growth director. He is elected to be the program quality director for next year. In 2021, 2022, he served as Division C director, achieving the select distinguished status for Division C. The year before that, 2020 to 21, he was an Area C1 director, and he achieved distinguished status at the area director level. So he will give a presentation on establishing, chartering new clubs and supporting the new clubs so that we can help build new clubs for the district. Please welcome IP5, MS5, Nico Martin.
Thank you, Tan, for the warm introduction. Good morning, fellow district leaders. And once again, congratulations to us all for we achieved distinguished district. It is significant and remarkable because it shows that we district leaders are focusing not only on our personal goals, but also we care and are committed to achieving our organizational goals. One more thing before we start the training, it is vital to start the year great, July 1st, by persuading your area clubs to submit the club officers list this week, which is before June 30th, because Toastmasters International does not give distinguished club program credit to a club if the club officers list is submitted later than June 30th. Just want to make sure everyone get that message. Now for the training, can you all see the presentation? Give me a thumbs up. Thank you. Okay. Establishing and supporting new clubs. Building strong foundation for growth. Now, every organization must have a mission, right? Similar to every country must have a constitution, because without it, where are we leading our members to? If no mission, there is also there will not be any organization. No mission, no organization. And similarly, without constitution, there will be no country, right? All starts with mission. Our district mission, as already shown by Clarice, our mission, district mission, we are district leaders. We build new clubs and support all clubs in achieving excellence. We also remember the second part, support all clubs. That includes the existing clubs, which our other presenters talked about already. Now we are talking about the new clubs as part of the all clubs. Now, every organization must have leaders and members. Club building team has a leader, who is the club growth director, right? And the team members are club extension committee chairs. His job is to support the club growth director, meaning he leads the club growth team in case the club growth has a lot of things to do, because club growth is in charge of retention, in charge of renewals, in charge of saving suspended clubs, in charge of reinstating closed clubs, and in charge of a lot of things. Good thing we have club extension chairs, and the other one, associates. Those are the people, Toastmaster members, who would like to learn more about chartering. And some of them They just there to help. Now, the next one, division and area directors. They're very important because they are the ones who directly, especially the area directors, the one that represent the district to the clubs. I will drill down further later on about their part in sponsoring a club. Club sponsors and mentors, anyone can be sponsors, can be mentors after having certain level of training. World headquarters, they're part of the team because they're the one who will review our documents, our charter documents. They're the one who will answer all our questions about chartering, about building new clubs, supporting all clubs in achieving excellence. Corporate or other organization leaders. Corporate, we need them. We need those leaders because they are the one inside. They're the inside people, and we are from the outside. We will drill further on that one as we go on. DTM Toastmasters, newly formed Toastmasters. They will support on providing us club sponsors and mentors when we need some. Most clubs will have their own club sponsors already. Some will have mentors already, but if you need one or two, go to DTM Toastmasters. This is a club that has members that are already DTM and members who wants to become DTM. Next is session topics. Why establish and support new Toastmaster clubs? How do we establish a new clubs? How do we support new Toastmasters club? Only 3 topics, right? First, let's move on to the first topic. Why establish and support new Toastmasters club? Anyone? All right. Okay.
To spread the program in places that do not have clubs.
Yes, that's one of the answers. And of course, the other answer is because it's our district mission. We build new clubs and support all clubs in achieving excellence. And also, why do we establish new Toastmasters club? Because if our district are not growing, guess what? What will happen if our district is not growing?
It is dying.
Yes, exactly. The district is going to die in a slow death spiral. I have seen it. Many of us have seen it. And the data is still available in the DCP dashboard. You can go back in time and see a storyboard on how it goes. But of course, we have to take care of the retention also, not only growing. And if we are growing, it builds strong foundation for growth. How? I have a lot of them. I want to go through it. By the way, I will go slow on things that's very important, especially for division and directors, and I will go fast on things that you just need to have an idea of it so that you have something there that you know of. So and how do we build a strong foundation for growth? How does the building new clubs does it? Toastmasters benefits are shared with more people, therefore more growth in terms of participation rate. We shared all the benefits to all over. It increases the number of paid clubs, contributing to the district's paid club growth. There are 3 categories: paid club growth, district membership growth, and distinguished growth, club growth. Then it also increases the number of new members, contributing to the district membership growth. It increases the district distinguish club's growth thereon. It provides more growth opportunities for existing members to join, explore, learn from specialty advanced clubs, not only for corporate club, like such as Parliamentarian. We have created, it's coming, Parliamentarian's coming. There's a lot of leadership club, DTM Toastmasters. There's specialty club, cooking, menu masters, film production, improv, fellowships, bilingual. There's Toastmasters nerds for nerdy things, etc., etc. It provides opportunities for companies or organization in our district to benefit from the Toastmasters program. And furthermore, as the paid clubs and membership grow closer to the district, to the distinguished level towards the end of the Toastmaster year, the district leaders and club officers get more excited. And the hope of achieving club distinction creates a domino effect for everyone to commit and participate more in that momentous event. Everyone is excited and try to contribute. Now, how do we establish a new club? How do we build a new club? It's a long process. I will touch base on it, on all the steps, and I will slow down on the division and area director side of it. Basically, these are the steps. They're both the same for community and corporate. What are the types of club lead generation? The first one. There are corporate leads, local government, military, schools, religious organization, other nonprofit organizations such as Red Cross, Rotary clubs, and so forth. Community clubs, specialty or advanced clubs. There's so many types, right? There's so many types of them, but you can actually summarize them into two. One is corporate, that will cover all the other ones except for the community. And the community, we can call it advanced clubs. The program is the same, and the charter process for corporate has other layers in comparison to advanced clubs. We will come back to this topic later, further down. Now, who are the club leads? Anyone? Who are the club leads? All right. A club lead could be anyone. That's the answer. The club sponsor, any Toastmaster member, a corporate lead, any district officers, Toastmaster International, because they provide us with a database of whoever contacted them, either a company or an individual or a nonprofit inquiring, or sometimes they are really interested. And any person outside of Toastmasters. Now, how to find or create a new club lead for division and area directors. I will slow down on this one. One way is to ask your club officers to check with their members if a company employs anyone. Sometimes they use their company email address. You can tell they have at airenvironmental.com, at amgen.com. That's a clue. Maybe you can ask that person Do you work for Takeda Pharmaceuticals? Do they have interest there? Do you know HR there? Because typically it's the HR that's more concerned about bringing in the training, because it's a training and development for them, for the employees. Ask about their company if they are interested in Toastmasters transferable skills, such as strategic planning, that is our club success plan, managing project, managing meetings, their staff meetings, that's a Toastmasters meeting. Managers giving constructive feedback or yearly feedback to their direct reports, that's our evaluation portion of our meeting, and etc. There's so many correlations between the two. Those are transferable skills. The next one is ask your area club officers to check if there is anyone from the existing members who are interested in chartering a Toastmaster club, specializing in a lot of things. You could be sports, travel, maybe kayaking, bicycling, maybe for the blinds, or maybe for the LGBTQ, or maybe for bar people, maybe for disco, or maybe for family-oriented events or activities, maybe for religion, etc. Also, another thing is ask your area club officers to check with their members if anyone knows someone outside of Toastmasters that may be interested in Toastmaster program benefits. A friend, a family member, a friend of a friend, that works. That really helps the district if we have more leads. For the club growth directors, he gets the leads from you, division area directors, from old club leads, from his predecessor, from Toastmasters.org lead management system, and sometimes from other district. Because sometimes other companies thought that they belong to District 52, and District 52 will say, no, you belong to the District 33, and that's a good lead. For other district officers, they could either lead the club building, or they can pass the club lead to the club growth team. Now that you have the leads, you have to validate the leads by contacting the club lead directly. Validate because so that you know that you have a good lead and you're not wasting time chasing a bad lead. If they do not respond, not leading, not organizing their charter team, then it could be a bad lead. Sometimes it's just for now, but do not abandon them totally. Plant the seeds in their mind that mention that they need a team and give them time. Sometimes they come back and they actually organize themselves, because for club growth directors and the team, you want to facilitate or lead the leaders, especially if it's a corporate club. The corporate lead over there from the inside, you just have to facilitate the chartering for them on Toastmasters side to make it easier for them to do it. Give them all the information they need. And club director is always looking for club leads where he could lead the leaders via facilitations. Like I said, making it easier for club to charter, to be chartered. Now, once you already identified that, you want to identify the need. What is the why the club lead wants to build this club? That's very important. This is the reason for chartering the club, whether it is for corporations, other organization, or a specialty club. Identify who may lead the charter process. If they're capable of chartering themselves, that is super good. If they need support, have the club growth director team contact and help them. Now for corporate and other organization, we just want to focus on, because like I said, there are two, you can divide it in two areas, corporate and advanced. For the corporate and other organizations, it's the same program for both corporations and advanced clubs. The corporate emphasize on partnership with Toastmasters. You got to emphasize that it needs to be a partnership. You actually need to sell the Toastmaster program. Oh my, you're already green. All right, let me go fast. And we need to, once you have contacted the corporate, you get the decision makers approval that it's a go, then you need to show them the other steps on how to charter it. And most of them will be done by the charter team. I have no time to go into details on that, so we will move to the next portion. How do you support new Toastmaster Club? So before, on the chartering part, the last part of it is submitting all the paperwork. Once you submitted the paperwork, then you wait for a week or two till it get approved. Sometimes they have a question, and then you just have to, the club growth team will have to take care of that. And then after that, once it's started, you got to introduce the mentor. The mentor will be the one supporting the club from then on. The club mentor will have to serve 6 to 12 months and attending meetings. It could be one mentor or two, depends on the need. Ensure that the club officers understand their roles. You gotta familiarize the club with the Toastmaster program. It's like bringing a child into adulthood, that they will be independent later on with their life. They'll know how to operate the club. You teach them how to do the FTH, the Fritos House, teach them how to do the pathways, how to log in to Toastmaster.org for the first time, educate them on the DCP, assist them on recruitment if they need some tips on that. And as far as our side, not the mentors, but the other district officers, area directors, of course, need to visit them, treat them as an existing club already. We have to invite them to speech contests, those district conference. We need to invite them on the training, the club officer training, because treat them, basically, like I said, treat them as an existing club. Now for the credits for sponsors and mentors. Sponsors receive credit upon chartering. Mentors must serve a minimum of 6 months from charter date. President must sign, get credit forms for both sponsors and mentors. They will get credit for their DTM if they're working on that. And make sure when you submit the form number 1, that is the most important one. Once you get the go signal, everything's okay, the decision maker approve it and we are organizing, make sure your very first step after that is submit the form number 1. It's called application to organize. And in that form, you have to put there the sponsors and mentors. You have time to put that one later, but it's better if you organize your team right away. And you got to put the alignment, District 33, Division C, Area 1. Those are very important on our side. Next is club sponsor resources. This is a good book. I spent a lot of time reading this book back and forth. And then club mentor resources. Key things to keep in mind, steps toward chartering may vary in each cases. Corporate in advance is a little different in terms of the layers. And in terms of chartering, both of them needs 20, but advanced needs all dual. For the corporate, it needs at least 17 new members and 3 at the most dual. All right, we are in the question and answer portion. Any question? That 25 minutes went so fast. I wish I could.
Has a question. Vivian has her hand raised. Nico?
Thank you very much, Stan. Nico, I am a member in America, 2 clubs, 1 advanced, and Europe in Germany. And I visit and give talks elsewhere. My point is, I ask, plain and simple, why are we losing members? Why am I on red, Pamela? Okay, so I just ask. And as a broadcaster, I learned that asking is more important than knowing the right answer. 9 out of 10 times they tell me people are bored. They're not having fun. That's a red flag. We would want to address that seriously. People have high anxiety. People are depressed the world over. They want to have fun. They want to make friends. They just want to have a good time. So let's give it to them. What do you think?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's supposed to be asked on the other topics. This is about new clubs and supporting new clubs. Why are we losing? There are a bunch of reasons. You already mentioned a lot of them. And of course, main one is pandemic. That change. People don't like changes. Pandemic really hit us very hard. But now we are recovering. Expect that we will be flooded with more members, new members, because they can see that we are distinguished already. The whole world will see that, and they'll be curious. What has the District 30 been doing? They will then be ready when they do. Any other question?
Nico, I'm going to request that we conclude the segment so we can move on to the next topic.
All right, thanks.
We've finished talking about how to build new clubs, and the benefit there is once you as an area director can help build a new club, whether it's if you want to be part of that new club team or just submit a club lead and help find people that want to build that team, they can earn their DTM award if they work on a brand new club. You can earn credit for your DTM award. Your area will grow, so you can put your area in a path to become a distinguished status on an area. So those are some very great benefits for building a new club and chartering a new club. In the chat box is how you can submit a club lead to our district team. The next portion is our breakout sessions room. We will have about 20 minutes and we will, after that, return to the main room for the conclusion, which is the electronic survey. But now Paul Kistler has opened up the breakout rooms. I invite each of the area and division directors to go into their respective rooms to just establish a communications between the teams, learn about each other, and give introductions of each other for about a 15 to 20-minute time segment. So if you need help going to your breakout room, please let me know. You can start as soon as you get there. I do know that we do not have a division G, F, or E directors online. So what we will do is the trio, we will visit those 3 rooms, E, F, and G, to help the area directors understand how they can get started in the year. But we do have area A, B, C, D, and H. If you need help going into a room, let us know. We will help nudge you.
All right.
Susan Gray needs to go to H.
How do I get into A? Because usually the hosts always just haven't said join. So how do you guys do it? This is
Hi,
right.
Rachel. I'll help assign you to the A.
Okay, thank you. This is it.
This is where Paul and Paul, you can help assign people to their rooms if they cannot get there. Michael Rankin.
Show me to my room.
Yes. Okay. So I will help assign you to that room. Vivian will go to the B.
And I'm lost in time and space. I'm on my way.
Okay. So all we have left is E, F, and G. So Nico, I think F, there's not going to be any representation from F because Pete O'Brien and Jackie Lynn are not here. So we don't need to go to F, but we do need to go to E and G. So do you want to go to one of them just to maybe facilitate discussion for about 15 minutes? Nico, can you unmute?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
I will go to. I'll go to E.
Okay. And I'll go to G, and then Paul, you can hold the floor, and then you can stop the recording or mute the recording, pause it. So I'll go to G. Okay, let's look. There's a little countdown before the rooms all conclude. Welcome back. So as everybody returns from their breakout rooms, I hope it was a beneficial time to at least meet with your initial teams, get to know each other face to face, and eventually after this, continue your working relationships for the district. Our recording is back on. I wanted to thank you, take some time to thank everybody that helped today, and also in the chat box, if you can take a couple of minutes to do the electronic survey. Post training, we always do a survey. So if you can take a couple of minutes to answer the few questions we have, that'll really help our club program quality team build better training sessions going forward. But I wanted to recognize everybody on this agenda. First, I wanted to thank our Zoom tech lead, Paul Kistler, for leading his first district event online as a logistics manager. And you can unmute as well. Alan Mann is not here. He's taking on another meeting, but he did our pledge and inspiration. Thank you, Alan. Chris Hempelman led us in the district mission statement. Jim Kearney was our instructor for the area and division director expectations presentation, as well as the conducting the club visits program. Thank you, Jim.
Welcome.
Clarice Crester led us with the developing of successful teams. Thank you, Clarice. Darnell Evans. He led us by giving an overview of the Club Coach Program. Again, if you have questions about the Club Coach Program, know prospective coaches, please contact any of us, but Darnell will manage that in the new year. The club building process and how to help our clubs, new clubs grow, which helps support the district mission. Thank you, Nico Martin. Thank you, our timer, who is our finance manager, Pamela Edwards. Thank you to everybody here for supporting the training session, taking time out of your beautiful Saturday for this district training. I don't know if you know, but this district training is part of the district mission. We will get credit for your officer training credit as a district, which goes to the district success plan. It is a key component of us thriving as a district and continuing the excellence that Clarice and Debbie has put forward and our previous district directors. We want to continue that tradition. So thank you very much. So the electronic survey is in the chat box, and I'm going to ask for any closing comments or questions.
Hey, Nico, I stuck a area council visit training slides in the chat room for you.
Thank you. And again, the next steps, if I were an area director again, I would build my schedule. I had done that as the district director this year. Be able to, as a leader, to project the year, build a schedule for yourself as an area and identify the key milestones. From there, you will build your team composition to support some of those key events. So you can build your own area schedule and communicate that with your clubs in the areas and utilize the processes that Clarice and Jim had explained. After that, start scheduling the milestones, which are club contests or council meetings, area contests. That goes on your schedule. And then conduct your club visits. And you can do that after July 1st. Between the July 1st and October 30th is the recommended timeframe to submit your visit reports. And we will help you submit those visit reports. If you have problems with the District Central, you are going to get access to District Central once you become a district officer after July 1st. So those are some immediate things you can plan for. We will have training throughout the year, club contest training, club quality training, area contest. It'll be sprinkled throughout the year. And I'm going to be proud to transition a lot of those duties to Program Quality Director-elect Nico Martin. He will lead district officer training and club officer training after July 1st. So you had a fire hose today, but you will get some more sprinkles throughout the year. Any more questions or comments? I will remain here. At this point, I adjourn training. We can stop the recording and post this afterwards.
Thank you so much. It was a
Thank
great
you.
meeting.
Lots of information, great session, as always.